to listen to the Lap Traffic Podcast.
What is up, Lap Traffic Nation? Welcome to episode 300 of the Lap Traffic Podcast. I am your host, the Professor Brandon Crowd. It is finally here, episode 300. I am so excited to be closing out season 6 of the Lap Traffic Podcast tonight with episode 300. So much to do, so much to talk about. This is going to be a long show, as you've probably loaded it and have seen already. But we're not going to have a show for a minute, so you can drag it out as long as you want. But we are going to have some fun tonight. It's been a minute since I've been on, since I published episode 299 a couple weeks ago. Thanksgiving was a great time with family, with Alden. We continued our annual tradition of going to Frankenmuth on Friday and Saturday after Thanksgiving, which next to Mackinac is our favorite place to go in Michigan. It's billed as Michigan's Little Bavaria, but it's also Christmas town, as you've got the world's largest Christmas store right there called Bronner's, and just had a great time. Watched the Michigan-Ohio State game, which, believe me, we've got a lot of college football talk headed your way today, whether you want it or not. It's my show, so we're going to have some college football talk, that's for sure. We did some Christmas pictures with Alden, and I sent some of those out earlier a couple weeks ago, I think. Just looking forward to celebrating Christmas, New Year's Eve. Somebody's got a 40th birthday coming up in 16 days. Very curious what Linzi has dialed up for that. This past weekend went down to Indy for the Big Ten Championship game, which was awesome. Got to meet Brian Neudorff for the first time. And since it was Michigan and Indy, and Brian's from Purdue, Aaron's from Michigan, yes, I got those guys scheduled for the show later tonight to talk some college football and all of that good stuff. But some more on the show. Wrapping up season 6, as I said, the tonight's show number 35 of the year. We did over 20,000 downloads this year. Overall, over the 6 years, there's been 166 different individual guests, which is awesome. Sat on Twitter Analytics today, and overall, 20.5 million Twitter impressions over 6 years, and had just over 2 million this year, and the year ain't done. Over 1,000 new Twitter followers this year, which is all because of you guys. So I can't thank you enough for that. All right, what's coming up tonight? Well, with it being episode 300, you knew it was going to be big, and I wanted to have guests that have been a part of the show over the last 6 years and 300 shows. With that said, Jeff Striegle is going to be on tonight. The man formerly known as the Orange Cone is going to be on tonight. NASCARCASM. NBC has played a big role in support of the show, and Parker Kligerman from NBC will be making his return. As I mentioned, Aaron Studwell, Brian Neudorff will be on to talk some college football, and also to talk some college football and NASCAR from the state down south. Matt Tifft is going to be back on the show, and it wouldn't be a Lap Traffic podcast without the support of MIS. So MIS track President Joe Fowler is going to be back. And if that weren't enough, I saved 2 very special listener calls for tonight as well. The former voice of the Wave Around hotline, Andrew Khantzian, as well as Kathleen McDonald, both who have been around since the beginning of the show. And we've got some prize packs to give away. I got a new off-season contest for you guys, a very condensed version of the annual award show. Yes, I did not forget about that. So if this isn't jam-packed, if you aren't entertained, I'm not sure how else I could help you. The big question is, when will episode 301 be posted? Which will be late January, more than likely. I will flood social media with regard to the 2023 Fantasy League. We'll get email communication out to you guys, all that good stuff down the road. Tonight, though, I wanted to kick things off for a few minutes with someone you don't hear very often on the show, but without her, we wouldn't be here. That's for sure. I think it's her 3rd or 4th appearance on the show. And like I said, it's with her full support over the last 6 years that we're here tonight. So welcome back to the Lap Traffic Podcast, my incredible wife, Linzi. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I am great. Thanks for taking some time, coming down the stairs, and coming on the show. I appreciate the effort that it took for you to be here tonight, because it doesn't go unnoticed.
It was a long trek.
Yes. And thank you for the cookies.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that. I tweeted it out.
I was wondering.
I got home from I got home from work, and when I got into my home office, and there's this cookie bouquet sitting there, all decked out with Lap Traffic logos, the flags. Like, whoever did this did a phenomenal job.
Yes.
And
shout out to Cookies by Design in Shelby Township, Michigan.
excellent. Free shout out to them. Some advertising there. I'm sure they'll get tons of orders from our post here.
You're welcome.
Yes. Linz, 6 years. It's been a long journey.
Yeah.
It started out one night at the bar of, I think I can do a podcast.
Yeah.
And here we are. There's, like I said, there's been some ups and downs for sure.
A little bit.
But I mean, from your eyes, as someone that casually watches every once in a while, what have you seen from the show?
Well, I mean, I think watching and listening over 6 years, I think probably what a lot of listeners don't realize is this is pure organic growth, but also talent, loyalty, dedication, hard work that all stems behind that. So you do have a real life full-time job that offers you monetary paycheck and support, which we love very, very much. But on top of that as well, you're now a dad, and we're almost 10 months into that, but I was pregnant with him for almost 10 months prior to that. So layering all of those responsibilities onto one another, perhaps when you don't see what happens behind the scenes, it does seem easy to be able to walk down your stairs and flip on your equipment and pour your beverage and have some conversations. But truly, for everyone, thank you. Without your support and loyalty and listening, he would not be here. But I want you all to know we're probably looking at 6 days a week that the effort behind the microphone happens. And it is sacrifice and it is tenacity, but it's love of the sport. And I cannot sit here and pretend to y'all that I'm the number one NASCAR fan ever. I don't know if I knew what NASCAR was prior to this, but there is really a beauty in seeing the track and the embankment and the slopes and the competition and the loyalty of fans. I mean, fans are what have really cultivated this sport, as well as the Lap Traffic podcast and Brandon Crowd himself. So
You've got to be for someone, like Lindsay said, she's not a big sports fan per se.
I'm a sports ambiance fan.
Yes.
I have sweatshirts and I have t-shirts and I have glasses, and give me a solid beverage and a good nacho, I'm your girl. I'm there.
Whether it's at a bar, whether it's having people over, or whether it's at the track for a big event. But, Lindsay didn't tune in to the Big Ten championship game this past weekend because I wasn't home to encourage her to watch it for the most part.
I watched the first touchdown happen.
Okay.
I wore my sweatshirt. I had it. We have a very superstitious household, so I believe I also wore the same socks.
Yes.
But you're right. That's fair.
I say all of that to say that, for someone that doesn't have the passion behind sports like I do, to know how much it means to me to want to do this, like Lindsay said, having a kid, that was the hardest. You guys, if you guys have been around for a minute, you know that an annual season of the Lap Traffic podcast consists of somewhere between 45 to 50 plus shows, and only did 35 shows this year. That was hard. I didn't know what this year was going to look like. Just, adapting to, like Lindsay said, a real job that I've obviously have had, but throwing a baby into the mix and trying to give Lindsay a break and all of that, there was no way we were going to pump out 50 shows. And, next year will probably look similar. I would say, probably somewhere 35, 40 shows. Definitely have some off weeks in there. But that's also why I said a couple weeks ago, we're going to change the format up next year a little bit in terms of some of the content on the show. And that way, it'll be fresh because it's been the same kind of format for a minute. But then also that'll help play into and adapt well for off weeks. So we'll have that there. Lindsay will tell you the only lie I've really told her over 14 years is when we first started dating was that I said I kind of like NASCAR.
Yes, that was a down and out lie. If you saw my basement or all the basement actually, or any of the walls or the pictures, etc. But honestly, I've met many of the fans, I think too, that are highlights on the show tonight, right?
Yes.
At the track, and to see people excited or to say hello or want to take a picture or show a koozie, it's incredible. And just thank you for the support, and it doesn't go unnoticed, and I appreciate that perhaps my unwavering support does not go unnoticed either. But whether y'all are married or in relationships or have partners or best friends that support you, there's nothing like seeing a dream literally come true on the basis of hard work and loyalty and dedication. And who am I to deny that? So as long as you all keep listening and showing up, I think he'll still be hanging out in this basement, maybe a real studio one day. I don't know.
Hey, you never know. You never know. Well, awesome. Linz, thanks for coming down and coming on. And guys, thanks for having Linzi be on the show and supporting her as well. I know there's some behind the scenes support for her as well, which is awesome. So, all right, Linz, I got a lot to do. So we'll see you on the flip side here.
Thank you, and congratulations, and cheers.
Thanks.
Cheers to another 300.
Cheers. Yes. There you go. All right, Lap Traffic Nation. There you have the incredible, just awesome, badass wife, Miss Linzi. So, all right. Let's keep things rolling. I think we should start out with MIS because they are my home track. They are where everything started. I will never forget reaching out to MIS. And funny story, I don't know if I've ever shared this or not, but I had sent a couple emails to like the generic at the time before everything kind of switched over to NASCAR, when tracks were more independently. Each track had its own independent PR and things like that, and sent some blanket emails, never got a response, nothing. Left 2 or 3 voicemails for I don't even know who, and the track PR guy, Brad, finally called me back and had a conversation with him, and he said, okay, we'll give you a shot. And without them, like I said, we wouldn't be here tonight. That's for sure. So I am so thankful that I was able to reach out to MIS and get their new track president. This was his first year as track president, Joe Fowler, and was able to catch up with him. Actually, I obviously recorded some of these interviews, over the last week or two. And Joe, though, I actually literally talked to about 20 minutes ago, which is awesome. So, Lap Traffic Nation, here is Joe Fowler from MIS. My home track. Welcome back to the Lap Traffic Podcast. Joe Fowler. Joe, how are you, brother?
I'm doing well, Brandon. How are you, my man?
I am good. Thank you so much for coming on tonight. Couldn't do episode 300 without MIS being on the show. And I want to start with this with you because I think this is how I started when you came on back in August. I tried to pinpoint you to either the maize and blue or the green and white, but I would imagine you're a maize and blue fan right now, right?
I am still neutral. I still.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
It's pretty cool. I will say this though. I'm really excited. I'm a college football nut, and so it's really cool to see Michigan, getting into the college football playoffs. It's going to be exciting to watch, and I hope the team does really well.
Absolutely. Me and a couple buddies actually went down to Indy this past weekend because why not? And had a blast watching them, and very excited, no doubt about that. That's for sure. Joe, an incredible NASCAR season is in the books, from the amount of different winners to the new car, the races, the on-track, entertainment that we saw, some off-track entertainment that we saw as well. But let's talk about your first race weekend, first year as track president. How was it from your perspective?
It was a really good year, being honest about it. And I have quite a bit of experience at the track level, and I came into this role not feeling confident by any means because I knew there was a lot to learn, and certainly that was the case. I learned a lot along the way, but we had really good support throughout the year. The team here is awesome. We tried some new things. We had some big wins, and we had a few things where we know that we can improve a little bit for the next year, but that's all part of it. And to your very point about where we are as a sport, I think we had an incredible race, several incredible races here at MIS this year between ARCA, Xfinity, and Cup. And, it's really hard to complain. I look back at the last 12 months, and I'm really proud of what we've accomplished, and I think we've got a lot more ahead of us, but really looking forward to this next year in 2023.
For sure, no doubt about that. The schedule came out a little bit ago. MIS has basically the same date on the calendar. Do you get any say in that, Joe? Do they come to you and say, hey, obviously, you're going to get one date, or does NASCAR pretty much dictate when that's going to happen?
Well, it's a little bit of both. I know for sure that the schedule is a huge jigsaw puzzle, right. and I know it's a very complex thing to put together because you have to factor in climate, things that are happening in the area, things that are happening on the various networks, just a number of different things. But I really like the time of year we're in, and being in early August, I think it's a good fit for us. I mean, who doesn't love summers in Michigan? Right. So we're happy. We're August 4th through 6th this year. Last year, the schedule was a little bit different. We had what I always call a triple header weekend with a double header Saturday. So we had ARCA and Xfinity on the same day on Saturday. In 2023, we'll have ARCA on Friday, Xfinity on Saturday, and then, of course, the Firekeepers Casino 400, the big Cup Series race on Sunday. So, same basic weekend, a little mix up on the day schedule, so to speak, but looking forward to it. Should be a good one.
No, for sure. And reflecting back, we did have some weather impact things on Sunday, but that did not stop a single fan from coming into that track. The stands were packed unlike anything I have seen at MIS in a very long time. We got all 400 miles in, and I think Kevin Harvick has his new playground, which is MIS, which is awesome. So talk a little bit about that side of things.
Well, we did. It was great to see the fans here. I think it's been talked about before, but it was the first time in 3 years our Canadian friends could come back to the track, and that was exciting for us. So we did. We had really good-looking grandstands. We sold out the infield for the first time, I think, in 10 years, which was quite an achievement we're really proud of, and I think we can build on in this next year. But the racing was great. Harvick did a heck of a burnout at the start-finish line. It was my first time, at Michigan, right there by the start-finish line, to see something like that. So that was pretty cool. But really great year overall.
That's awesome. What type of, it's early, right? Like we're still in 2022. The race weekend is until August. But what type of prep work are you guys doing? Either now or you'll start to do come January, February 2023, getting ready for race weekend.
Yeah, so this is the time of year, and we do this throughout the year, but I would say in the quote-unquote off-season, we're really focused on things like we get surveys after every race. We call them GEM surveys, and it's a chance for our customers to tell us the things that we did really well and the things that we can improve upon. And so I'll just give you an example. We tried a new tram route last year, and the idea behind it was rock solid, and I think if the throughput, the number of people that used the tram was the same as it was in past years, it would have worked great. But we had such a good tram route that it doubled utilization. And so it created some challenges for us. So we know that. So moving into this next year, we're looking at new tram routes. We're working with our partners at MSP and POCO on how can we improve traffic patterns. We're looking at, new areas where we can improve upon signage, all of the things that kind of build information or the overall experience while people are here. We're working on that stuff now to get out in front of it, because once the weather turns back to normal again and turns nice in the spring, I mean, we're really working on the property. We have events. And so this is the time of year where we're really huddled up talking about strategy and all the things that we want to accomplish and starting to work on those things and get them into action.
Well, that's awesome, man. Well, I can't wait to get out there for sure. Joe, I know this is only the second time we've chatted, but as you know, over the last 6 years, MIS has played a very big role in helping spread the word about the podcast. And, being an amateur podcast, MIS helped open some doors for me to get in front of people to help let them know that, this is legit. And, tonight, episode 300, wrapping up season 6. I cannot thank you, MIS, everybody I've met at MIS over the years and have gotten to know. I truly appreciate the support of you guys for helping grow the show, because I wouldn't be here without you guys. So I truly appreciate it.
Well, and likewise, thank you for your partnership and support of MIS over all these years. And hey, more importantly, congrats on 300 episodes. That's a huge milestone.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Listen, Joe, I hope you, the family, everyone at MIS, hope you guys have a great holiday season, and can't wait to be talking with you here come July, August, hyping up race weekend.
we're looking forward to it, Brandon. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care, Joe. We'll see ya.
Bye.
Well, Lap Traffic Nation, there you have Joe Fowler from MIS, where it all started for the Lap Traffic Podcast, which is awesome. Let's keep things rolling. I mean, we're just going to keep rolling with everything tonight because there is so much to do. Let's keep with the Michigan roots. Let's keep with the MIS and all of that. And just as you can't do episode 300 without MIS, I can't do episode 300 without one of the legendary voices from the Motor Racing Network and Mr. Jeff Striegle. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, I could not have a 300th episode celebration without the person that holds the record for the number of appearances on the Lap Traffic Podcast over these last 300 shows. Joining me on the line, making his 25th appearance on the Lap Traffic Podcast from the Motor Racing Network, Mr. Jeff Striegle. Sir, how are you?
I am doing well. Congratulations. This is a party. This is a celebration. We got a lot to celebrate, and we have to start with a huge, huge congratulations to you on all you have done and all you've meant to the sport. So congratulations on number 300.
Thank you very much, sir. I really appreciate that. It's been an incredible journey, an incredible 6 years of thinking, hey, can I do this? And you know, here we are, 300 shows later. I've got Jeff Striegle's phone number in my cell phone, and I text you every once in a while, like never in my wildest dreams. So thank you for being along for the ride, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, all right, man. Well, let's start with this. It's well known, if anybody has followed you on Twitter, that after championship weekend, you're headed down to Key West for a week. How was the annual trip, sir?
The trip was great. The trip home was dreadful, but you know, the actual trip down there was fantastic. The weather was great. We had a wonderful time just relaxing after what has been a very long year. And I know most everybody can relate to that. So our annual trip went well. We came back to, 12, 24, 48 inches of snow, whatever it was. And winter is officially here in the great state of Michigan, as you are well aware.
Yes, sir. I mean, and in true Michigan fashion, too. Like, the beginning of November, it was 70 degrees, and now here we are, you know, towards the end of the month, and, you know, we're at our 25 degrees. There's white stuff on the ground, and, yeah, it's that's how Michigan does it.
Well, what was crazy, as you well know, being from the state of Michigan, it was basically 70 right up until we left. That was when the weather changed, so we missed all of the snow. We just were watching it from afar, wondering what it was we were going to come back to. And I posted a picture on Twitter that I was gone a week, and look what they did to the track. You know, it's just completely covered in snow, because the day before I left, we were actually working out on the track and taking advantage of beautiful weather. But that weather is behind us now, and we just set our sights on 2023. It'll be here before we know it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, man. 2022, you know, we talked a handful of times over the season on the show. There were some incredible moments from the different winners, from the surprises, from, you know, the end of the year, Ross Chastain going video game mode to get himself to the finals. We had some issues with the car. We had some injuries, lots of ups and downs. You know, but if you were to summarize 2022 for, you know, the elevator pitch, how would you do it?
Maybe in a word, dramatic. You know, from the time we rolled the cars out in LA back the 1st of February to what we saw right up, you know, championship day in Phoenix, everything was dramatic. The car was dramatic. The racing was dramatic. Certainly some of the crashes that we saw were dramatic. The storylines never failed from one week to the next. So, you know, when I look at it, and I think it's highlighted by the 19 different winners. I don't know that anybody had that one picked, you know, when we headed off to Daytona to get the season started officially. So, you know, I liked the season. There are certainly some things that took place in the season that need to be addressed, and I think we all recognize what they are. There's some tweaks that need to be done to that race car, no doubt. and NASCAR knows that, no doubt. But, all in all, I think if it wasn't for a couple of those storylines that, had to happen for, the unfortunate reasons that they did, 2022 did not disappoint. The racing on the racetrack was, what I thought anyway, very, very good. Obviously, with the different winners and the surprise winners and the teams that elevated themselves into championship contention, talking about Trackhouse and 2311 and Petty GMS. I just thought it was a really, really good year, and it, lays the groundwork for what should be a very good year coming up.
Absolutely. There's no doubt about that. I mean, you and I talked after Michigan weekend on how that was the, best race in a decade plus at Michigan. And, there were other tracks that, provided the same level of entertainment and competition. And I think we all saw that. I think, you look at some of the polls, Jeff Gluck, he does his poll that at this, Jeff's poll, in my opinion, holds, credibleness behind it. He's been doing it so long, and he gets a very big population sample that'll respond to it. And, I think we saw a lot of positiveness from the fans throughout some tracks that maybe we don't normally see that. And, overall, just a fantastic racing year.
What's interesting about what you just said, and I do agree with you, that Jeff Gluck's polls are always a very good snapshot of what the race fan thinks. And what we've seen from those polls is a complete role reversal, because obviously in years past, the polls would have shown that Martinsville and Bristol and Richmond were the best races of the year, sure. And that was not the case this year. And I think NASCAR realizes that the new car didn't perform like they might have hoped it would have on the short track. But conversely, in years past, the 1.5 mile racetracks were always the ones that showed the least amount of support. Well, that has come full circle. And now when we go to Atlanta and we go to Vegas and we go to Charlotte, we go to Michigan and California, typically tracks that have not had the best of ratings. Those ratings were, like you said, off the charts, great ratings. So, there's a lot of good that came with the new car. The racing on the track in a lot of cases was very good, and there's certainly some room for improvement. And hopefully during the off season, NASCAR will address that, and we'll see better racing when we go to Martinsville, when we go to Bristol, when we go to Richmond, and some of the other tracks that the cars didn't perform as well as what we might have hoped.
Absolutely. I'm all about, and like you had said, great 2022. And all that leads us is to think it's going to be a great 2023, with supporting documentation behind us for the last 36 races. So I am very excited for what 2023 is going to bring us. Speaking of 2023, we've got some driver changes this year. We got Dinger back full-time Cup ride, which I love that story there. Seeing somebody that ran Cup, successful, probably not what they wanted at the time when they were doing it, leaves the sport, comes back from a broadcasting side of things, comes back to a part-time role at the shop, to a part-time driver role in the Xfinity Series, and it's now coming as a full circle moment for him. So I'm very excited to see, the outlook for AJ Allmendinger in 2023.
I like just to see what that team is capable of doing, because they've obviously shown signs of brilliance along with some of the other newer teams like we just talked about. 2311 has to come to the conversation. Trackhouse, Petty GMS, while Petty's been around forever, the Marrige with GMS is relatively new. They showed signs of brilliance with Eric Jones behind the wheel. Now he's got a new teammate. So I like that. I like the storylines that are already being written for us before we even get to Daytona, before we even get to the LA Coliseum. AJ, just touching on AJ, he's the personality that the sport needs. He's so good, in front of a microphone, in front of a camera, behind the steering wheel, and in the seat of a race car. He brings a lot to the table. You never have to wonder what is on his mind. I think that's something that I've always enjoyed about AJ. Kurt Busch would have been in that same category. If you want to know what they're thinking, just ask them, but be prepared for the answer because they're going to tell you exactly what they're thinking. So, AJ's that personality that we need. Noah Gregson's going to bring a personality to the NASCAR Cup Series, unlike anything we've seen recently. So again, some of the new drivers, what's Ty Gibbs going to do now that he has that ride full time, replacing Kyle Busch? Kyle's another story with his move. Tyler Reddick's another story with his move. So where do you start? Where does it end? I don't know. It's going to be good.
Yeah, no, there is no doubt about that. Speaking of Kyle Busch, you and I talked about that very thing, I think, within a week or two of that whole announcement with Tyler Reddick and Denny Hamlin. And you and I both said, like, it was just so odd. It just was weird almost. And, lo and behold, it kind of played out to that weirdness. Like, okay, yeah, well, now it all makes sense. Now he gets to go this year versus having to do almost a lame duck year, which would have been a struggle, I think, mentally for him as a driver, the team. I mean, that just would have been I don't know, uncomfortable is the right word, but it just maybe awkward and pins and needles would have been, what the next 36 races would have been like for that car and that team.
I think if we go back and listen to the tape when you and I did it originally, we made the comment that it's not going to happen the way it's being presented. Right, yeah. What actually happens between then and when, the next domino falls, we didn't really know, but I could not see Tyler Reddick driving for RCR another year. And, lo and behold, things changed. And, obviously all the puzzle pieces fell into place. And Tyler was able to wrap up his year, a very, very good year at Richard Childress Racing. And now he moves on. Kyle was able to say goodbye to Joe Gibbs Racing, I think, the way that he would like to have said goodbye. I don't know that for sure, but I would assume so. And now he can start the next chapter in his career. So everything worked out. It was awkward and weird at the time, but we just needed to let it play out. It did, and now it all makes sense.
Absolutely. You mentioned Petty GMS. Jeff, what do you think about Jimmy Johnson coming back as an owner to that team and a part-time driver next year?
Can't hurt, can it?
No.
Can you imagine? I don't know who reached out to who. I don't know all the details behind it. They had their press conference and, they're going to say the things that they need to say and they're not going to say things that they don't need to say. So, I can only imagine what it must be like to say, what, Jimmy Johnson is interested in being a part of our organization. Whether we reached out to him and he said yes, or Jimmy called them and said, hey, what do you think? It doesn't matter. But, at the end of that initial conversation to, look at one another and go, Jimmy Johnson wants to be a part of what we're doing here. Obviously, that means what we're doing is right, or at least moving in the right direction, or he doesn't want to be a part of it. And then you look at what Jimmy can bring, the professionalism, the attitude, the winning approach to going about your business on a day-to-day basis. That is just something that I think is fantastic for the team and the organization, and certainly something that a lot of race fans are going to applaud, just having Jimmy back with us, even if it's in a role similar to Jeff Gordon, which we know is actually going to be enhanced because Jimmy has said, he wants to drive a race car. And you know what? I want to see him back on the racetrack.
Absolutely. Yeah, that, like you said, ain't gonna hurt, right? Like, even just from a pure driver coach perspective alone,
for sure,
you're leaps and bounds better than where you were when you left Phoenix. So,
and there's going to be two drivers sitting right there with their mouth shut and ears open, listening to every single thing that Jimmy Johnson wants to say.
Yes, double spacing their notes for sure.
Yep.
All right, Jeff. Next year, I think we've set the tone pretty well. I'm excited to get back to the Coliseum. I think the fans are excited to get back to that. That's going to be a very hot ticket. If it's not already sold out, I'm sure it'll be close to it. We're going to be starting off 2023 with a bang, with some new courses, some new tracks we're going to. Chicago being the where I was going from a course perspective. there's just so much to look forward to next year.
I'm going to add something that I hope everybody realizes. Love it or hate it, the way that we determine our champion. The way that we determine our champion becomes, and I'm going to use that word again, more dramatic every year when you take a look at how you advance or how you fail to advance. Just go back and ask Denny Hamlin that. When and skip the video move that Chastain pulled. The point is, Denny did not advance because of a point. A point on the racetrack is a passed car on the racetrack at some point during the season. There were so many drivers that could have advanced if it had only been by a point or 2 or 5. Well, those points can be made up or lost at Daytona when we start the season in February. I think that my point here with this, Brandon, is this, that the drivers recognize this more today than ever before. It's very obvious. It was obvious the very first time they put the format in play that you could fail to advance by a simple point. Well, I think every year that we've done this now, it goes to show just how important a finishing position on the track actually becomes. Long story short, these guys are going to be, guys and gals, whoever's, in the car, are going to be racing hard from the drop of the green flag at Daytona all the way until they wrap up the season, because every point matters if you're going to be a NASCAR Cup Series champion. And I think it's going to show as soon as we get these cars off the trailer and out onto the racetrack.
I love it. Absolutely. Jeff, man, you mentioned it at the start. You guys were working on the track over at Berlin. What are some new things the fans of the Berlin area and those that travel in will be able to see next year?
Well, they're going to see a lot of exciting racing. We had 13 different divisions here this year, which I think was the most different divisions at any track in the country. We've actually upped that to 16 different divisions this year. So we've got the return of the super modifieds, wing sprints, non-wing sprints. Of course, our big 2 super late model shows, the Money in the Bank on June 7 and Battle at Berlin, the $30,000 to win super late model event, which is August 9th. I'll tell you what, we just wrapped up a day here at Berlin Raceway, just putting together themes and trying to match that with the schedule and some of the new things that we're going to be adding, enhancing to the outdoor lounge area. We're doing some stuff in the infield for the competitors. There's just a lot going on. It's an exciting time, but, it really allows us to go back to what we've been talking about. It's the downtime. It's exciting to talk about. It's more exciting when we get right on the cusp of, opening our season here at the track or heading off to LA to the Coliseum or getting ready for the Daytona 500. It's fun to talk about, dream it, scheme it, but I really can't wait to see it all, come to realization when the snow finally goes away or the cars come off the trailer and everybody's ready to go racing.
Absolutely. Oh, I cannot wait to get back to the track, hopefully a couple more times next year now that the little guy will be a little older and all that. So, yes, definitely looking forward to it. Jeff, man, thank you. I appreciate you. I love the support. I appreciate the friendship over the years and 300 shows and 25 appearances. And I hope you and the wife have a great holiday season, and can't wait to do it again with you next year, brother.
Well, I'm looking forward to my 26th time on the show. Congratulations again on 300. That's an amazing accomplishment. Well-deserved.
Thank you.
A pat on the back to you and all the hard work that goes into it. Happy holidays to everybody that is listening, and I look forward to seeing everybody soon and talking to you sometime shortly down the road.
I love it. All right, man. Take care. We'll see you soon.
You got it, buddy. Take care.
Take care. Lap Traffic Nation, there you have Jeff Striegle. He's just become such a great friend, which is so cool. I love everything about that. Okay, well, I mean, we opened with MIS, Jeff Striegle. Let's kind of complete the trifecta, if you will, with ties to MIS. And he was once known as the Orange Cone, and he's going to get into all of that. But he used to be the track announcer at MIS. He's just down the road, down 75, basically, in the North Ohio area, which is awesome. He was the very first guest of the Lap Traffic podcast on episode 10, 290 shows ago. Welcome back to the Lap Traffic podcast, Charles Krall. All right, Lap Traffic Nation. Couldn't, again, do a milestone episode like episode 300 without the second highest appearance on the show, formerly known as the Orange Cone, making his 22nd appearance on the show, Charles Krall. Charles, what's up, brother? How are you, man?
I'm doing good, Brandon. How about you, man?
I am awesome. Thank you for coming on. It's going to be weird. Like, you know, it was just, what's up, Cone? Like, it was.
Yeah, you got to call me by an actual name.
Synonymous. So let's talk about that for a minute, because
Sure.
I saw your tweet and I thought it was beautifully scripted. And maybe scripted is even the wrong word. Just really well written in that, you know, this is who I am and this is what I was doing. I had a blast with it. It was amazing, and it ran its course, and now this is what you're going to be getting from me. And I love that, because I think, you know, the Orange Cone account and the idea behind that was beautiful. It was one of the most successful, parody accounts, if you will. And people tried to imitate you left and right, and they couldn't do it. And I love that part of it too. Like you set the bar, and you built something really strong and fun and interactive. And I want to thank you for doing that, man. And it was a great run.
Well, first, I appreciate that, Brandon. And, you know, one thing that I always wanted people to realize with that account is, while I did from time to time, break the fourth wall, so to speak.
Sure.
And, everything that was said there was meant to be lighthearted and in good fun. And, it was meant to lift, the sport of auto racing as a whole, and do it through humor and hopefully through, well-intentioned humor. I didn't succeed all the time. I will readily admit that I made mistakes. I said things that I wish that I wouldn't have said in retrospect, lots of things. Sure. But overall, 99.5% of what happened there, interactions with others, it was awesome. And it opened so many doors to me and created so many lasting friendships and relationships. And, it really did. And, it had run its course. And, I had been weighing it for a while, to be honest. It wasn't what it once was. Sure. And it's really hard to, it's really hard to be, on all the time. Yes. It is. And even right. And even the best television shows in the world, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I'm Jerry Seinfeld by any stretch of the imagination, but even Seinfeld, ran its course, and MASH ran its course, and, and I wasn't feeling it, and it just had run its course. And before I just, shut it down, I wanted to say thanks to everybody for following along. And the reality of it was, Brandon, is that is something that I started for my own entertainment. and the fact that anybody else, bought into it and followed along and thought it was entertaining in any way was just a huge bonus. And honestly, to sit on the comfort of my couch and watch the Daytona 500 and listen to Mike Joy talk about his buddy, the Orange Cone, just beyond my wildest dreams that would ever happen. And I'm grateful to everybody who followed along. And, I hope that everyone follows me on my personal account at Chaz Krall, ChasKrall. There's some racing content there too, but it's more of a personal, this is what goes on in my life type thing. I'll still share some pictures. We just did a 10 at 10, trivia game the other day. That's something that I haven't done in many years, which was a lot of fun. I just, it was just time.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. Well, listen, you built a legacy there, and like you said, we probably wouldn't have connected if it wasn't for that account and starting a podcast and, you being the very first guest, episode 10,
right.
Almost, 6 years ago, basically. So it's been a hell of a ride.
and I got to make the joke, I think there's probably two things in the world that are often imitated and never duplicated. That's the world of outlaw sprint cars and the orange cone. There were so many other, so many other parody accounts that popped up, so quickly afterwards. And, and I didn't really have any, everyone's entitled to their 15 minutes, and I think the one thing that I was lucky to have that many others didn't was I had pre-existing relationships with whether it was drivers or racetracks or, certain members of the media. And I told everybody who I was, there was no secret, there were some people who were like shocked to find out, it wasn't like a public thing, but, it was a guarded secret. That certain people knew, and that encouraged people to interact, and I think that's what everyone kind of thought was, I'll start this account and immediately they'll be talking about me on television.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, and again, not that I was not hoping for their success, but it's a lot easier to do that when you have some of these pre-existing relationships and people know who you are and they know that when you say something,
right,
you're not attacking them, you're being playful with them.
Yes.
And that was the one thing that I think as that account grew, Brandon, was that I think, and it's not just because new people came in, I think social media as a whole changed, and it's very, very hard to be playful with anybody on social media these days.
Fair enough.
Anything you say, right, is always taken as some negative rather than you just trying to be lighthearted about it.
Absolutely.
And once that attitude, and honestly, that's really what led me to make this decision was
Sure.
It's so hard to interact with people and be lighthearted and everybody know it's lighthearted. So, I did. I had a great time and I met so many wonderful people and had so many just priceless interactions and lifelong memories. And my children all got to interact with, from Jimmy Johnson and Kyle Larson and Chip Ganassi and Jack Roush. And, there's no way, a guy sitting on his couch, is able to do that, I'm a very lucky guy. And I thank everybody for playing along as long as they did. And just, ready to focus on some other things. And, we'll see. I think there's a lot of good things in the offing for my future in the next couple of years. So rather than kind of splitting my attention, we'll focus on some of those things and see where we end up,
I love it. Well, man, let's talk about some ARCA racing. Great wrap up to the season you guys had. Nick Sanchez, your 2022 ARCA champ. Talk about Nick for a minute, man.
Oh, man, I cannot say enough positive things about Nick. He's just a great kid, and he does a really nice job on the racetrack. He doesn't go out there and bump and bang and aggravate people. He's a good, clean, hard racer. Nick is not a guy that's going to, jump up and down and point at himself and say, hey, throw that spotlight on me. But he does all of his talking on the racetrack, and his championship is well-deserved. Max Siegel, I know Max did not win the owner's championship, but to be the car owner of the driver champion The Rev Racing team in just their second full-time season to come away with the championship is a wonderful testament to them. Matt Booker and Brad Means and everybody over there just works so very hard on what they do. And they're basically, the charter of that team, the reason that team exists is to work with new drivers like every 2 to 3 years. So they're constantly moving drivers through there. They don't really get a chance to build, long-term relationships with these drivers. But to come in and in what was Nick's third year with the team, win that championship is just fantastic. That's so awesome. Congratulations go out to them. We had a phenomenal, final race of the year there at Toledo. A little controversy there. It was, that's, we talked about that, internally, as an organization afterwards. It's like, that's what people come to these things for. They don't come necessarily to see a fight, but they come to see something that they're going to remember.
Yeah.
We're in the business of selling memories, and that's something they're all going to remember. That final 5 laps of that race was as good as any final 5 laps of any race that I think you'll see all season long. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. And for me to also have the opportunity to work those East and West races, out of the 34 races,
the place.
Yeah, man, out of the 34 races in our platform in 2022, I worked 33 of them. And, there were two of those race days where I called, worked 2 different races in 2 different time zones. So yep. Actually there were 3 different days where I did that. So, that doesn't include the weekend that I did a race in New York, Washington State, and Illinois, all on back-to-back days too. So, honestly, you won't ever hear me complain about that. It's a dream come true to be able to do this. And
did you get to call in this year?
Yeah, I did 13, whether it was an ARCA Menard Series East or ARCA Menard Series West. I did 13 television broadcasts on Flow. Those were also broadcast, on a tape-delayed basis on USA Network. I haven't really figured out what my plan is for next year yet, but I'm hoping they're going to let me come back and do it again in 2023. I do. I have an absolute blast doing it. A lot of people sit there and say, well, man, I wish they would give you a color commentator and a pit road reporter. And, while it would be nice, I'm always an advocate for, more voices on a broadcast. I'll do whatever they ask me to do, and I'll do it with a smile on my face. And
put my name down when they need a pit reporter.
You got it. I consider myself to be a very lucky guy to be able to do it. And, it's a very small fraternity of people who get to work and broadcast these races. And for me to be one of them, even at this level is literally a dream come true. So, we'll see what 2023 has in store. We're in the process of finalizing those East and West schedules right now. And, we'll announce a broadcast schedule for the main ARCA tour, shortly after that. And, before you know it, we're going to be down at Daytona for the preseason practice, and then we'll go back for the race. And, from there on out, it's hammer down,
Eat, sleep, repeat, right?
That's it. That is it.
What holidays right around the corner, man? What you guys doing? Anything? Going anywhere? Anything fun scheduled?
I think for me, the month of December is like rest and relax. It really is. It really is the only true downtime that I have in the course of the year. As I said, Brandon, ARCA as a company sanctioned 34 races in the course of the season. Most of the core group of employees that work in our office, they work the 20 race ARCA Menard Series schedule. Then we've got, the group that work the East and the West races. Sure. While some of us do occasionally go back and forth and do, 1 or 2 West races here, or maybe an East race here, there are, I don't know how many of us more than me do all of them, so, And that doesn't really lead to a lot of opportunity to take vacation weeks during the middle of a very busy. So I'll check out, I won't say check out. I'll still be around and still be involved. But December is kind of like when I go into hibernation and recharge my batteries. I think we'll get together with some family and some friends and hang out a little bit and relax. But, Ashley and I have a very, very beautiful house down here on the west side of Toledo. And I don't spend enough time here in the summertime. So I don't want to leave now, so we'll spend some time in the house and get all the projects done that we want to get done and get it cleaned up and ready to go. But, I'm sure we'll do some of the visiting, as we get around the holiday time though.
Excellent. I love it. Well, listen, man, thank you for coming on. Thank you for 22 times on the show. Thank you for being the first guest ever. And thank you for being here on episode 300. And, the friendship, the support, man, it goes without saying how much I appreciate it. It's always fun to get to run into you. Typically Michigan, because I didn't get anywhere else this year. But I always appreciate the fact that you make me really feel a part of the sport, and I appreciate that.
Well, that's the great thing about it now, Brandon, is you are a part. Once you're in, you're in. Once you're in, you're in. It's really, really hard. You have to make the decision yourself to kind of kick yourself out.
Right,
so yeah, once you're in, you're in, buddy.
I love it. I love it. Well, listen, tell the crazy Italian lady I said hello, and I hope you guys and the family have a great holiday season, and look forward to talking with you and seeing you next year, man.
You got it, bud. We'll talk to you soon, Brandon.
Right, man.
Thanks.
We'll see you. Bye.
Yep.
All right. I feel like he could officially be like Prince, to where, the artist formerly known as the Orange Cone, Charles Krall. Like, I wonder the next time I have him on if that's how I can introduce him, because I think that'd be hysterical. I think we could sell some T-shirts around that, no doubt about that. But yes, Charles Krall, great friend of the show as well, and just so glad to have his support over the years. It's been awesome. So, all right. As I mentioned at the start of the show, I saved two very special listener call-ins for tonight's show for episode 300. And I think now's the perfect time to get Kathleen McDonald and talk to her. She's a big fan of the artist formerly known as the Orange Cone as well. So, I think she's going to love the fact that she's following the Orange Cone. So, dear friend, I've met up with her at MIS, at Chicago, Homestead, and it's been a great friendship with Kathleen McDonald. So let's get Kathleen back on the line. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, joining me on the line. Not only is she an OG to the podcast, but we followed and interacted with each other long before the Lap Traffic podcast and the Lap Traffic PC Twitter handle, back when my old B Crowd 29 Twitter handle was around, which is still there. I don't think I've tweeted from my personal account in like 4 years. All that to say, welcome back to the Lap Traffic Podcast. Dear friend of the show, Kathleen. Kathleen, how are you?
I am fantastic. Hello, Brandon. Hello, everybody. And yes, we've known each other a long time. Thanks to Kevin Harvick bringing us together.
Absolutely.
We probably would have followed each other regardless, but
yes,
it's nice to have that in common.
Absolutely. No, it's an absolute pleasure and an honor to have you on the show tonight. I appreciate it. I am so excited to have you on and to get to talk to you for a minute, because it's been a long time. I know.
The
wave around hotline is a thing of the past. So I don't get your voicemails anymore on that. But yeah, no, it's been fun. We haven't seen each other since Homestead, Miami 2019. It's been crazy. And just to reflect on that, what a great time we had. We went to dinner one night, you, me, and Linzi, which was awesome. And you're just a true, absolute fan of the sport. And, like you said, we met on Twitter And that's one of the feel-good stories because there's so much negativity around social media. But if not for social media, this podcast wouldn't be here and we wouldn't have met each other. So there is some good that can still come out of it.
Well, the whole reason I joined Twitter to begin with was to connect with other race fans and to like keep up with news, because generally, unless you're on Twitter or really other forms of social media, it can get a little difficult to keep up with a lot of stuff. So I don't have a lot of friends in, quote, real life who are race fans. So Twitter enabled me to meet a lot of great people, and meeting up with them at racetracks, you know, all kinds of races, just has been such a blast. So
absolutely. It was our water cooler. It was like, hey, you know, in the office, you'd talk about the TV show or the football game. But like you said, you know, not everyone's a big NASCAR fan. And so that created the water cooler atmosphere for us.
Exactly. Yeah. And you know what, like you said, there's a lot of negativity, but it is easy to, you know, tune it out. I went on kind of a little bit of a spree not too long ago where I kind of cleaned up my Twitter and got rid of some negativity and things like that. And it is better. There's still some, and I get it. People, you know, I complain about things, you know, life in general, you know, things that go on in racing. But when it's all you do, it kind of eats away at you and spoils your fun. So I try not to dwell on a lot of stuff like that. And just, you know, it is what it is, and just keep scrolling.
Absolutely. I am with you 100%. Kathleen, I mean, you're not just a NASCAR. I'll say this. Kathleen is not just a NASCAR fan. She is a pure racing fan. If there's a race and you can go to it, you will go to it. And you were at the track the other night, weren't you?
Yeah, they have. A few years ago when I was down in Florida, I was over near the Volusia area, over near Daytona, Ormond Beach. And Volusia's a dirt track down there, if people don't know. And every year, that weekend, they have a David Rudiman. Many people probably remember him. And his father, Buzzy, had some family members who were killed in an automobile accident. I think they were on their way to the track or on their way home from a track many years ago. So about 10 years ago or so, they developed this memorial race for them. And it's really a very cool event. It's 2 nights, Friday night and Saturday night. And this was my 3rd year of going, and it's just a bunch of fun. It's really good racing. You do have some NASCAR people coming for it. It's dirt late models, and Justin Allgaier has been. Justin Haley was here this weekend. He was here that past weekend. So I'm going to try to make that sort of a little bit of a tradition, as you know, to go to that. It's a very cool event.
That's awesome. I love that. That's cool. Anytime you can create tradition around racing is a cool thing. And I can't wait to start some of those with Alden here over the next couple of years. That's going to be a lot of fun for sure. There's just something about creating your own personal nostalgia and memories, and that's very cool. And a great cause around it too. That just adds to it, which is awesome.
Yeah, I love it.
Let's see. What tracks did you get to this year? Because you got around.
I didn't go to any Cup races. This is the first year in many that I didn't go to any Cup races. I did go to I did go to a few truck races. I went to IRP for their
that was awesome.
It's the re-welcoming back the truck series to IRP, and it ran with the ARCA series, and it was a great event. I was supposed to go to Mid-Ohio and things kind of fell through with that. But I really, next year, I'm going to go back to Darlington and try to maybe get some more Cup races back in the schedule. But to be honest with you, going to the standalone races now that they're trying to bring some back. We're going to have Milwaukee next year as a standalone truck. They're bringing IRP back again. I went to Knoxville this year, the dirt race, but they're not running that again next year. But it's just the standalones are really where I started with getting back into NASCAR. I grew up going to asphalt late models up here in the Midwest in Wisconsin. Indiana's had some, Illinois has some. And then I really didn't get into NASCAR until much later because I didn't really have access to it. It wasn't on, TV. We didn't have cable. I didn't have cable until I was, well into adulthood. So you could follow it to a certain extent. And that's actually how I started following Kevin, was actually in the truck series. Back in those days, in the late 90s and early 2000s, I, go into those races at Memphis. Nashville Super Speedway was running them, Gateway. And that's really what I did for many years. I just went on that circuit. They were running at Milwaukee back then too. And then I started, it got easier for me to add some cup races in. Sure. So, but now I'm kind of trying to go back to the standalones if I can. And a lot of people are not complaining, but crying out for, races to be at short tracks or, smaller tracks than the big, mile and a halfs and stuff. And now we're getting some of them. And, we kind of have to put butts in those seats, even though they're standalones, because they're not going to last if people aren't going, which I think is part of what happened to Iowa.
Absolutely.
People were saying we need to go to these tracks, but if you're not going to go to the track and support that, they're going to be taken away.
And I mean, I guess it depends on everyone's definition of standalone, but Iowa was truck and Xfinity in a weekend. You got two. Yeah. And up until recently, the quality of racing there was fantastic for both series, and it just it wasn't drawn. And I don't even think if you would have added Cup there, it was really going to make that big of a difference. But it was great quality racing there for a while. So no, I agree. Yeah, you want these one-offs, so to speak. You got to go, and obviously Wilkesboro. That'll sell. I don't think Milwaukee's going to have any issues. And that'll be a good time. It'll be affordable for the families that don't normally maybe get to see one of the top three series, which is awesome. I think that's a key thing, I think, to help keep things in front of people, to help keep it in the viewers' eyes, the casual fans, like, oh, hey, NASCAR Trucks is going to be here. You want to go? Yeah, let's go. And I think that does, what we all hope it's going to do and get some new viewers and some new people at the track to, hey, let's go have fun on a Friday night. And, oh, wow, this is awesome. I'm going to tune in next week, actually. So.
And you mentioned bringing Alden to races eventually. I mean, besides bringing them to like a local track, the truck races or even Xfinity races are the next best thing to Absolutely. Start getting those kids. Yep. It's affordable. They're not as long. It's a smaller environment. You're not trying to keep an eye on a little one at a big track, yes. Let's say, a Michigan or a Chicagoland or, tracks like that. It's easy to lose a kid if you're not paying Absolutely. Attention.
Yes.
But when you're at those smaller venues, it's a much better environment to try to develop the interest for the little kids.
No doubt about that. Kathleen, any plans for the holidays? Where are you going to be at? What are you going to be doing?
I'm down in Florida. We'll be here. I'll be here through probably about the middle of December. Julie Bosley, who I met on Twitter and has become one of my very bestest friends, and her husband are down here with me for this week for Thanksgiving. So
Awesome.
we're doing a seafood buffet because how can you not do that when you're in Florida?
Absolutely.
Yeah, on the beach.
Yes.
And then I've got the Snowball Derby coming up in a little less than 2 weeks, and I'm still going to hang around Florida for a little bit after that. But once I get home, I pretty much just hibernate until at least the end of February. And it's my goal one day to get back down here for races in February, not only the, Daytona 500 weekend and all that, but the goings on at New Smyrna and Volusia, try to get in as much there. You'll have racing somewhere every night in the month of February down here, but I won't be able to do it next year, but hopefully one of these years I can rearrange things and get that checked off. Yeah.
Excellent. I love it. Well, Kathleen, thanks for coming on the show. Thank you for the friendship and the support over 300 shows in 6 years. I appreciate it more than you'll know. And we'll definitely have to make sure we can reconnect next year at a racetrack because 2019's been far too long.
That's for sure. And you know what? I'm going to do some homework over the off season with NASCAR, and I'm coming back on that damn fantasy league strong.
Excellent.
So,
yes. Yes.
I'm sick of being in the basement every year.
I love it. Awesome. Well, Kathleen, thank you again. I hope you have a great holiday season. Safe travels. Tell the Bosleys I said hello, and we'll talk to you and see you very soon.
I will. Thank you very much.
Thanks. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, there was Kathleen. We've got so much to do still. We've got NASCARCASM coming up. We got Parker Kligerman. We got Matt Tifft. We've got Aaron and Brian. We've got Andrew Khantzian. But I think now is a good time to let's do some social media. And as I mentioned at the start of the show, let's do a very condensed version of the annual award show and have some fun there. We got some prize packs to give away, all that good stuff. All right, make sure you check out the website, thelaptrafficpodcast.com. If you went to the website, you would have saw earlier today the spoiler list of everybody that was going to be on the show. So that's one of the benefits of actually going to the website, thelaptrafficpodcast.com. You might get an early sneak peek of who's going to be on the show. That's where all the fantasy updates are done, all that good stuff. Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Twitch, Instagram, Twitter, all at Lap Traffic PC. I put out a huge prize pack. I wanted to give 3 giveaways, 3 obviously for 300 shows. And I've got some awesome stuff. I got a Lap Traffic hat. I've got Lap Traffic t-shirts, stickers, koozies. I've got some NBC stuff to give away, pint glasses, hats, drawstring bags. And then, as you guys know, I do trophies every year for the fantasy winners and for the awards winners and all that. And I figured, what the hell? So you're getting a custom 300 episode prize pack winner trophy as well. And speaking of prizes and all of that, everything got mailed out yesterday with the exception of the 3 prize packs, because I obviously don't have anyone's addresses or anything like that yet. But I had the day off yesterday as a recovery day from coming back from Indianapolis over the weekend. I'm like, you know what? I've got like 17 things. I can go stand in the post office at 10 o'clock in the morning and not have to wait in line. So that's what we did. And I will get the 3 prize packs out as soon as I get 3 addresses. So let's see. I think because it is episode 300 and all that good stuff, I think a drum roll is in order here for the winners. There you have it. Okay, so winner of prize pack number 1 is going to go to Amber at Princess Amber 86, a Hamlin, Gibbs, and Dinger fan. I mean, who isn't, especially an AJ Allmendinger fan? I can get behind that all day. Larry Parler at Speed Pro 1963, NASCAR fanatic from Kansas City, or is a Kansas City fan from Tennessee. And Dave Bolger at BLG5, big NASCAR fan from Illinois. Congratulations, guys. You each are winning one of the 3 prize packs of the episode 300 giveaway there. Thank you to everybody that retweeted all of those. That got a lot of impressions and all of that good stuff on Twitter, which was awesome. Thank you guys so much for that. There are going to be some off-season giveaways. At Atlanta Racing is doing one right now as well, so make sure you're following at Atlanta Racing and at the Throwback brand, which is where my hats are from. I still have a handful of hats left. If anybody wants to purchase one, shameless plug. These things are awesome. Just shoot me a DM and we'll get you squared away. We've got some new follower shout outs. We got Greg Shininas, I think, at Greg SCHINEIS. You're home for NASCAR shit. That's what his profile says. Absolutely love it. Let's see. We've got Tim Schregan at Tim Schregan39, owner of the Racing Insiders and a new WWE fan. Tim, you've come to the right place because me and Dustin Albino from jski.com like to go on wrestling rants. So stay tuned for that down the road. And speaking of wrestling, Terrence Ward at the TW Ward. This guy is a ring announcer, what I think is from the indie scenes. He's all over TikTok, and this guy has an incredible ring announcer voice. Like, I would absolutely love for him to cut a promo for the Lab Traffic podcast, because that's how awesome his voice is. And so if he actually listens to this, which would be amazing, let's make that happen. And Kaylee Newberry at WX Kaylee13, huge NASCAR fan from Tennessee. Welcome to the show, everybody. Make sure you tell your friends. I've got free stickers and koozies. All you have to do is fill out the contact page on the website, thelabtrafficpodcast.com, and I will send those out to you for free. Okay, now, before I get into the very condensed award show, I told you guys last show that I was going to be changing things up and that I was cutting out of the show the Lucky Dog and Lap Down segment. I think after 6 years, that's run its course. And so what I'm going to do is, that's obviously a spot to fill on the show notes. And I'm going to turn it over to you guys to help me with that. So if you've got a great idea for a segment, whether it's fan involvement, whether it's a weekly question, whatever the case may be, bonus points if you can tie in puns off lap traffic in any capacity, and whatever gets picked, I'll have you on the show for the first time we do it, as well as sending you some form of a lap traffic prize pack. So that is your challenge in the off season. I'll tweet that out as well over the next week or so, and get that out there for you guys. So I thought that'd be fun. Let's turn it over to you guys for that. So, okay, now, as you guys know, for the last 5 years, we've ended this show, or we've ended each season with the awards show. And I've had the awards winners. I've tried to reach out to some people. I've had some on, all that good stuff. Well, obviously tonight, with it being episode 300, doing things a little different, but I didn't want to ignore the fact that that's what we do. So let's do the very quick awards show from this year's 2022 Lapped Traffic Podcast year-end ballots, and see who you guys picked for some winners here. All right. Well, you guys voted without any surprise that your favorite segment on the Lab Traffic Podcast are the interviews, which is awesome. That's the most fun for me too, believe me. So I'm glad you guys enjoy that. So obviously those ain't going anywhere next year, and we'll be back with that. Let's see. Lap Traffic Nation, your 2022 shock and awe moment with 83% of the vote is Ross's move at Martinsville. I mean, no surprise there. Anything else just was a far distant second there. This one I was surprised at a little bit, to be honest with you. Your 2022 race of the year, as voted by you guys with 26% of the vote, was the Daytona 500. I mean, obviously a great race, no doubt about that. But I was surprised that held on throughout the entire season as the race of the year for you guys. Your drivers of the year, Lap Traffic Nation has voted by you guys. Truck driver of the year with 58% of the vote, going to Zane Smith. Your 2022 Xfinity driver of the year with 68% of the vote, Noah Gragson. And the Cup driver of the year, and this one surprised me, 42% of the vote, but he got so many lap down votes this year. But you guys voted Ross Chastain as the Cup driver of the year. I mean, I can get behind that all day. No doubt about it. I could totally get behind that. But I was surprised to see it. And then my favorite category of the year, every year without a doubt, is who you guys voted as Guest of the Year. And with 26% of the vote, you guys voted our 2022 Cup champion, Joey Logano, as Guest of the Year, which was awesome. Followed very closely by WWE superstar Sheamus, which was awesome. So, okay. Yes, there it is, your very, very condensed award show. We'll get back to the more grandiose, if you will, award shows next year, and we'll have some acceptance speeches like we normally do and all of that good stuff. But like I said, just too much going on tonight to drag that out any further than what I just did in a matter of, I think, 2.5 minutes there. Okay, so before we get to the next call, I gotta say, guys, I cannot thank you enough. The tweets that I've gotten over the last day or two, congratulating and all of that has just been so heartwarming, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. It means the world, and as Linzi said at the start of the show, that's what keeps me here and keeps giving me a reason to be here, which I absolutely love. So thank you guys all so much for the support, and man, we'll just keep rocking. And let's keep rocking with the very famous NASCARCASM. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, continuing on with just epic guest after epic guest tonight. Could not do episode 300 without one of the best parody accounts out there, the person that comes up with the best fake text messages ever, making his 10th appearance on episode 300. Welcome back to the Lap Traffic Podcast, NASCARCASM. What's up, brother?
Nothing. This is 10.
This is 10. Yes.
Do I get free merch after this?
You know what?
Like something?
I've got hats, man. If you want a hat, I will send you a hat.
Oh yeah, no, I'm bought and sold cheap. Yeah, let's figure this out. Yeah, I didn't do this out of the goodness of my heart, man. I want swag. I want free stuff. Yeah, I want hats. I want koozies. I want whatever. Like I said,
I got it. I mean, these are trucker hats. They're patched.
Oh right.
Oh, dude, they are pretty sweet. I will.
Fantastic.
I'll send you a picture of a couple, and you tell me which one you want, and it's in the mail.
Oh, that sounds great, man.
I love it. What's new, man? How have things been since we wrapped up in Phoenix? What's going on, man?
Oh, we're still making some content for .com over the off season, all like we always do. But we're taking a much needed break. And it took me well, here's the deal. When I say much needed break, let me preface that, okay? For the first off-season weekend, like, okay, fine, no race. I'm going to sit and watch the Bears game. It took 1 week for me to be like, okay, all right, off-season sucks. When is the Clash? That's all it took. Yeah, it took one, and I don't know. It might have been the Lions game.
I was going to say, was that the week you played the Lions?
Yes, and lost to them. So it's like, okay, off-season has been fun. The time to relax a little bit. No, screw that. When's Daytona?
Here's how bad it is to be a Lions fan. Detroit is celebrating 3 wins in a row, which we have not done since 2017. Like,
yes,
that's what we're rallying around right now after a 1-6 start.
Success is relative. Hey, you know what? If you win 3 in a row in a NASCAR, you're in the Hall of Fame. So you know what?
Right?
Let's consider it relative here.
Yep.
Yes, exactly. Dan Campbell, Hall of Fame. That's right. That have qualified for the playoffs, for our playoffs, pretty well.
Right,
let's put it in perspective, man.
Oh man, that's hysterical. I love it.
Yep.
What's the plans for Thanksgiving and the holidays, man?
Well, for Thanksgiving, I'm gonna do the standard family visit up there in Northwest Indiana. I'm big into the pie. It's become kind of a problem. If you reach the point where you will actually not eat or graze as much of the actual meal, the turkey, the mashed potatoes, the stuffing, because that pie is later.
Yes.
And that's the point I'm at right now. It's really tragic, come to think of it. But yeah, that's where I'm at. I am like, it's kind of like dinner is just kind of this bland, okay, pretty decent opening act, but really I'm waiting for the headliner, which is the pie.
Yes.
And and I'm not like a 1 or 2 piece kind of dude. We're talking straight gorging until diabetic. Like that's what I do. That's the plan.
All right. So I have to ask, because you've opened the door for about 6 "that's what she said" in a matter of 30 seconds there.
God, you're ill, man. This is a family show. Come on.
All right. As far as the topping on said pie, are you you don't want to see the pie? Are you a just a small little splash of the topping? What kind of topping do you want on said pie?
Oh, it doesn't matter. I'll put a piece of pumpkin on top of a piece of cherry. I don't care. It's pure gluttony, and it's actually kind of gross. Kind of gross. Remember the guy they found at the beginning of the movie Seven? Yeah, it's kind of like that.
Yeah. See, I don't want to see the pie. I want it fully engulfed in.
Oh, you want like the whipped cream?
Oh yeah,
whipped cream. Yes. Okay, gotcha. Yes. Okay, well that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, I love it. All right, man. What your quick recap 2022. We saw a lot. We saw 19 different winners. We saw some success at some tracks in terms of competition and entertainment that we maybe didn't see at some tracks years past.
Mm-hmm.
We saw some injuries, unfortunately, along the way. A ton of driver changes, big changes from a silly season perspective. What's your overall take on 2022 looking into 2023?
Boy, eventful. That is the word I use.
I love it.
Eventful. And not just the on-track stuff, not suddenly like, oh my gosh, these mile and a half races, these are, my Lord, what's going on here? Especially, I would say the grand high llama of all those would be the Coca-Cola 600. Like, oh my gosh, I am like wired at midnight because I've just sat through like 600 miles of insanity. And I was just like,
it was
yes. That was quite enjoyable. The little moments that I will remember and forever cherish are obviously the Ross Chastain move, where he decided that the laws of physics don't apply to him. Good for him.
Have you gone back and played NASCAR 2005 just to see if it actually works? Or?
No, because you know what? Here's the thing. If you're a driver and you're trying to replicate that on iRacing or 2005, whatever, imagine how depressing it would be if you can't even replicate it on a video game.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, oh my gosh, So I wouldn't even bother. I would save myself the heartache. And the other thing is, how usually when it comes to driver announcements and so on and so forth, we're used to basically a team or so ever putting out a tweet like, hey, next week we'll announce our driver lineup. And then within 5 minutes, there's a tweet from a reporter saying, this is what's happening.
Yes.
Well, the secrets are like just poorly kept secrets everywhere. The Tyler Reddick driver announcement with Denny Hamlin, oh my gosh, out of nowhere, and like for it to be completely unexpected like that is so rare. So you got to give Denny and 23XI kudos for pulling that off. I would say
it's almost going to be the way they're going to have to do that if they want to be the ones as a team and an organization. You got to get creative like that.
Oh, exactly. And I'm not, by no means saying reporters shouldn't do that, man. They're absolutely doing their job and doing what they should be doing.
Yes.
But it's almost like, to be able to pull it off with that level of secrecy. And you heard Denny, talking about the day and how they had this like rigid schedule where it's almost like, like presidential movements,
Right.
The
eagle is coming in. He's coming.
Yes, exactly. I put that. I would say in recent memory, the only two moments like that where I was like, okay, didn't see that coming, had to be Tyler 23XI and when Justin Marks purchased all the everything at Ganassi. I was like, okay, did not see that at all,
Right.
So you got to be, in this day and age where, it's hard to keep secrets. If you do keep a secret, I think you got to get the big attaboy.
Absolutely. No doubt about that. Anything, any big projects that you guys are going to do over at the .com in the off season or?
Not really, just kind of sort of keeping the churn going. I have a few ideas. I don't want to spoil them right now.
Fair enough.
Because I want you to see how bad they are when they actually hit the website. I don't want to.
How they flop.
Yeah, I don't want to. Yeah, exactly. I don't want to ruin it right now. So.
Oh, that's great. All right. Just playing off of a lot of the stuff that you do, whether it's the fake text or I was a very big fan of the why the Final Four would or would not win the championship.
Oh, yes.
That was a great one. What might be some early 2023 headlines we see out of NASCARCASM?
Early 2023? Oh, man. I have absolutely no idea. I would actually like to go back to the will won't thing you mentioned because I forget what slide it is, but I say there's no way Joey Logano will win because a driver has never won in the year that corresponds with their car number. So it's never going to happen. Denny didn't win in 11. Kyle Busch didn't win in 18. So I was like, sorry, it's just not going to happen.
That's a hell of a
stat. And so we see how accurate that was.
Right.
So I'm just gonna. I just got to stop predicting crap. It's just dumb.
I love it. That's great, man.
Yep.
Well, listen, I want to thank you for the support over the last 6 years. I know you were a part of season 1 way back and 10 times on the show out of 300. That's a nice round percentage there.
Yes.
And I can't thank you enough. And it's been a blast. It's been great to hang out with you every once in a while when we've been able to meet up at the track. And it's been an honor. So thank you very much.
Oh, absolutely, man. And congrats on all your success and for everything you do. You're one of the good ones, Brandon. I hope you know that.
Well, I appreciate that very much, man. I really do. And look forward to hopefully seeing you somewhere in 2023 now that the little guy's he'll be over a year old. So I won't mind, maybe getting away for a couple weekends to hit some tracks. So look forward to seeing you at some point, hopefully. And hope you and the family have a great holiday season and a great new year. And we'll talk to you next year, man.
Sounds great, Brandon. Thank you much for having me.
Awesome. Thanks, man. We'll talk to you soon. I mean, it was NASCARCASM. What more do you need to say? How awesome is he? I love him. He liked the orange cone. I think Kaz was maybe like the second or third guest on the show back on year 1, which was awesome. So great to have him a part of the show. I mean, we're over 90 minutes in. We're not anywhere near being done with this thing. We got Parker Kligerman. We got Matt Tifft. We've got Andrew Khantzian. We got Aaron Studwell, Brian Neudorff. I think we'll kind of teeter it towards closing it out with the college football talk of things in case you guys don't want to stick around for that. So let's get Parker Kligerman on the line next. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, joining me on the line, making his 5th appearance on the Lap Traffic podcast. You'll see him on NBC. You've seen him in trucks, and next year you're going to see him full-time in the Xfinity Series. Welcome back to the Lap Traffic podcast. Parker Kligerman, what's up, brother? How are you?
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate having me on. I can't believe it's been 5 times.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
I mean, you either are a glutton for punishment or, you just expect a different outcome.
No, you're good. You're good. I appreciate it. So thanks for having me on, man.
No, thank you, man. Well, listen, let's talk some things here. What an incredible, journey you've had, and it's been fun to watch your racing career. It's been fun to see on NBC. you had 8 top 10s and 12 starts in the Truck Series this year. I mean, anytime you got in that damn thing, it was a hell of a time for you. So, talk about, I know you love the Truck Series and all that. So talk about 2022 for you.
Yeah, well, it's funny you bring that up, that I'm actually filming a video for my YouTube right now about basically how I got here. So that's pretty funny. You caught me right in the middle of that. Yeah, so I think you'll hear that same story. But in terms of this year, with what we were able to accomplish with Henderson Motorsports and Chris Carrier and everyone at Food Country USA on that race team, who you mentioned, like we nailed it this year. And we would just find a way to level up like every year for the last 5 or so years that we've been doing this. And I know I've told the story a lot, like January 2020, I didn't think we were going to continue. It just, it's kind of a bleak time. Right before COVID, I lost my cup ride at the 75, called me and Henderson Motorsports and said, hey, look, I don't think we're going to do this anymore. We need funded drivers or something like that. And so it was a pretty bleak time. And to get all the way back to where we were this year, where you mentioned we were on fire. We had a 9.2 average finish, which I think was damn close to being just like the champion, and would have put us in the championship 4. And we, just excelled. We won a race at Mid-Ohio, and we, there was a couple where I felt like we probably could have won easily, before that. I mean, Coda, was one where we were going to finish second, started running out of fuel and got spun out. So, I mean, our average finish could have been better, but I mean, it's a long-winded way of just saying it was so cool. It's been an amazing experience with them over the last couple of years, and it's not going to stop because I'm going to continue doing 10 or 12 races with them next year.
Awesome. So I was going to ask you about that, if we'll still see you in the truck. And I'm glad you brought that up because in terms of like your average finish where you would have been, because I talked about it on the show at length that I wish you were running full time because you would have been out there, and we very well may be talking about a Parker Kliger championship, which would be badass. So, but hopefully we'll be talking about a Parker Kligerman championship in the Xfinity Series. So talk about how the ride came together there.
Yeah, so, and just one thing on the truck team, I think we all wanted to run full time. We have, and we tried. It's just some of our performance came from us spreading our schedule out, right? Like in terms of our resources, we couldn't, to go do double the amount of races that we did isn't double the resources. It's like 3 times. So we just couldn't do it. But in terms of Xfinity, I saw what was happening with the big machine racing number 48 as I was racing the trucks, and just sort of inquired through some people I knew if there would be an opportunity there with all the drivers they were trying out. And, I won Mid-Ohio, and I got a call from the GM, Keith Barnwell, and he said, hey, this is while I'm in Victory Lane. I didn't answer it, but I got the message afterwards. While I was in Mid-Ohio, he said, hey, this is the call. I know you want to get when you're in Victory Lane. Congratulations, but would you like to come race at Talladega for us? It was like, yes. So got that opportunity, got to meet Scott Borchetta, Patrick Donahue, and work with him, and just really gelled with the team right off the bat. And for the first time, I went up to the shop to the race at Talladega and how seamless it was, and just slotted right in, and everyone did a great job. And I said to them, hey, if there's any more opportunities, or let me know. And so they reached out a little later and said, it was Scott who said, would you like to do this full time? And was kind of asking if I would be committed to doing that. And I said, hey, yes, but under one condition from my end, which is that I want to dive into 110%. And, I want to go race for a championship. Are you, is that your guys' goal? And he said, absolutely. So that was pretty cool. We quickly came to agreement. And we're able to announce that, I'm racing for a championship with Big Machine Vodka Spiked Coors and Big Machine Racing in 2023 in the Xfinity Series. And it feels surreal. I'm still like each and every day as I get to do things that, I haven't done in a long time in terms of preparing to go full time, is just sort of like a pinch me moment. And then the other part that's hilarious is that with driving the 75 and now the 48, I have gone from doing my most races in the last couple of years of like 19 in a year to I have 43 planned for next year.
That's
so
awesome.
We got some serious driving ahead of us. But the way I look at it is that just increases the opportunity to win by, threefold. And, hey, we'll see. We'll see if we can get it done.
So that's incredible. I know the fans are going to be excited about that. How will the whole NBC thing work around a 43 race schedule?
It's wild. I just, I'm one of those people that my mom likes to call me the Ryan Seacrest of motorsports. And I had a couple other people that reached out to me and said the same thing recently. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have to say it to my mom. So I'm still planning to work with NBC on Sundays during their portion of the NASCAR schedule. What amount that looks like and when and where is sort of TBD at this time. And I think it's only understandable that, my intention is to do that and do it at a high level. But at any point, if I feel like one is, I'm not able to do each to its highest level, that will probably be a point where I have to sort of look at my schedule and my time. And then obviously if we're racing for a championship, I may ask for a little bit of ability to focus solely on the driving side, which I expect to be doing. So hopefully, my TV duties will sort of fall to the wayside a little bit late in the season as we fight for a championship and we go out there and win one.
Awesome, man. I know you've raced with him, obviously, in the past on the track together, but, how cool is it going to be racing full time with, good friend of yours, Landon Castle next season?
Well, if it's any indication how we raced Talladega, we're like, pseudo teammates because I basically pushed him all the way across the line. So I was thinking when I was on that last couple laps, I was kind of boxed in third car on the bottom. I didn't really have I had one move the top with the one of Sam Mayer, but I just didn't trust the lane was going. And, we had a quick car. It wasn't sucking up great. And so I just didn't make the move the top. And so it sort of boxed me in on the bottom. And sometimes in Super Speedway, the best thing you can do is do nothing almost, right? Sure. And that's sort of just stay your lane. And so I decided I was going to push the 10 of Landon Castle in front of me, either hell or high water. We were either going to win that race or wreck trying. And, I did my best to push him, especially when AJ moved up. I thought it was our chance, but we just couldn't get the momentum to get him to first. But, it was a solid run for me. I thought it put us in the best position to finish somewhere between second to fifth. And, I missed that by one spot, but it was fun to draft with him. And I, looking forward to being able to, work together that way throughout the season. His colleague is right down the street from us, but I also look forward to, the battles we'll have and the times where I hopefully will, eclipse him since he's one up on me right now in terms of our finish at Talladega. So
how are things over at the E-Racer series, sir?
Yeah, we're a bit of a holding pattern right now. We had, just between everything myself and Landon had going on this year, it's just been, part of one of those years where bandwidth and time and that sort of thing don't line up with sort of the passion stuff that we have out there, like E-Racer with the E-Racer event. So we haven't been able to do the Firecracker 400. We are looking at ways that we can, get going again on that. We've got a great group of people at E-Racer that, continue to push and find ways to make that happen. And also we had the eNASCAR series this year, which was a lot of fun with Colin Bowden and Derek Bordeaux. And they just, they both did their best. They didn't quite find themselves fight for a championship, but they were a lot of fun to work with. And we'll see where we end up for next year.
Awesome, man. I love it. Well, listen, man, I want to thank you 5 times coming on the show and look forward to having you back on at some point next year to talk about how the new ride is going. And thank you, NBC, for your support of the podcast and helping to celebrate tonight's 300th episode, man. I really appreciate it.
Awesome, man. Yeah, congratulations on 300 episodes. It's a big deal. And thank you also to NBC. You mentioned in terms of just they've been so supportive of me over the last few years, just like supporting this podcast and, have allowed me to chase the dream of driving, right? And have been open to that. And that doesn't happen easily. That means a lot of people have had to step in at times or fill in for me at times and just schedules and that sort of thing. And it's been really cool how they've supported me and allowed me to get to this point. So as you asked about what my, intentions are on the TV side, is to do everything I possibly can to make sure that, we're bringing the best podcast possible or I'm adding everything I possibly can to the broadcasts each time I get the opportunity.
I love it. Awesome, man. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great off season, get to enjoy some time with the family and all that good stuff. And, Daytona's right around the corner, man. So I know we'll be talking soon. Take care, and thanks again for the support, man.
Awesome. Thank you, buddy. Congratulations.
Thank you. We'll see ya. I love the support of NBC, everybody. You know, from, let's see, I know we've had Steve Letarte on, obviously. Parker Kligerman's been a part of the show. I know, God, I'm drawing a blank. How sad is that? I'm drawing a blank. I know there've been a couple other people from NBC that have been a part of the show. Kelly Stavis, back when she was doing things with NBC, she was on. It's been incredible. So so thankful for their support. Man, just so cool. I love everything about it. Okay, all right. Let's keep things going. We're going to do a little NASCAR talk, a little college football talk. For those that don't know, Matt Tifft is an Ohio State fan, and I'm a Michigan fan. And we've had some bets over the years at where I've had to pay I've had to make good on some bets and had to wear an Ohio State T-shirt and tweet that out because Ohio State annihilated us a couple of years. So. But I've got a little redemption in my corner right now. So let's see what's going on with Matt Tifft over at Team Live Fast and what he's got going on. I have him back for his 7th appearance on the show from Team Live Fast. It is Mr. Matt Tifft. Sir, how are you, man?
I'm good. I guess is 7 lucky or is that a bad thing?
I think it's very lucky because, you know, next year will be year 7 of the show, closing out season 6. So I think it's very lucky and definitely not going to be the last time. So I think we're all
that's
good.
Awesome. Love to hear it.
Yeah. So listen, we got a couple things to talk about. I want to talk some NASCAR. We have to talk college football. I mean, that's a no-brainer there. Let's start on the NASCAR side of things. You guys are making the move over to Chevy. Can you talk a little bit about that, the decision behind that, and how that's going?
Yeah, definitely a big change for us for sure. You know, it's not a small feat. It's not just changing stickers on a car. You know, it's definitely much more wrapped up into it. So, you know, it's a year where, luckily, from the logistics side of things, we are going to, you know, different clips and stuff in NASCAR right now. So we are taking our cars and chopping them apart right now and sending them back from the safety updates anyways. So it does make that process a bit easier, but a lot of the components are different from, you know, different parts of the car. So that definitely makes it a challenge. However, I think from an organizational standpoint, you know, the move was made to enhance our performance. You know, when we come to look at 2021 and 2022, you know, the first year in 21 was getting the team off the ground started. And we had a really good year that year from just getting our goals you know, met and getting things rolling. I mean, we really came into it. I think we announced it around Thanksgiving, you know, this time, and we didn't have $1 to go to Daytona at this time back then. So it was definitely a big change going into there. And then going into 22, you know, we had right away, we had the next gen car, and we're sitting there going into Christmas with one car, 1.5 cars, whatever it was back then. And so what the purpose of saying that is that we were in complete new team years both times.
Sure.
And this is the first time we could say, okay, let's take a step back, look at our program, and really evaluate what are our strengths, what are our weaknesses. And as a small team, we don't have unlimited resources, right? So we have a wish list, you know, for Christmas here, right? We have a wish list.
Santa's coming, don't worry.
Yeah, no, Santa. We'd like 20 million from Santa, right? That'd be great. I think any team right now would like that. But you know, we have a long wish list, but you got to go through with a small budget and say, okay, where can we really maximize the use of our dollars? And that came from, okay, we need to go step up our motor program. And we went to it, we said, okay, if we're going to go do this, we got to think about who is going to be the best partner for us to get with. And when we talked, you know, through our current situation this year and going to opportunities somewhere else, we came across ECR, what they're doing. And, I've had a longstanding relationship with RCR back to my driving days. And, that helped go over there and just make it feel comfortable. That was a big part of it, was knowing the guys there and having that relationship. So the transition, the switch to Chevy for me is a very natural one. I'm definitely a Chevy guy. So that helps fuel my passion for that side of it. But the other part too is, the going up there and seeing the facility and working with the folks at ECR and having that support. When we go to really invest in our team and spend the money and the resources there, when we're reinvesting in our team, we got to look at what's the most sense. And the motor program with ECR are arguably the best one right now in the Cup Series. And we look at how many races Chevy won this past season. It's incredible. So that track record right now, you look at that and go, okay, this is not going to make us a winning car by any means, but it gives us that next component to gain a momentum and grab the success we need to take that next step in our maturation process.
Awesome, man. No, that's very exciting. I know it's been fun to watch you guys grow, and definitely look forward to continuing to see that upward trend for you guys. No doubt about that. You mentioned the next gen car. As someone that's had some health scares over the years, can you talk a little bit at all about your thoughts behind the next gen car and the safety features and some of the challenges, if you will, that we saw this year?
Yeah, I mean, it's a new car, right? So I'm not going to discount the fact that we definitely all anticipated to have challenges and growing pains in there. And I think going to, first of all, before we even got to the safety stuff was, and this is a safety issue, but the single lug nut, right? That was a big change for this year. And we definitely fell victim to losing a tire, I think maybe twice this year. And so that was a hard thing, because from the team side, you're going, well, come on, like make sure the tires are everything's tight, all the lugs are tight. And then you go back and watch the videos from the picture. It's like, I have no idea if that thing's loose, if it's tight, if it's overworked. Like that one time, Eric Jones had that. They got the port and everything out on pit road. So you just don't know when you watch that and you go, okay, I get it now. Like this is tough. And so, when we go into looking at the safety of the car, the challenges came up later in the year when we started getting some hits, and especially the rear end impacts there. And it's scary because, not only was this a big investment, but driver safety is always at the top of concern for owners, and being a previous driver, you feel for that. And we know this car was going to be more rigid. We knew some of the plus areas that it was going to be better for some of the small impacts and some of the medium impacts with other cars, that this was going to be better in those areas. But the unknown is still there. So, we fought through some of the fires and the problems we had there. And that was definitely a tough problem that we had. And I know other teams faced the same problem. And then, luckily, we never fell victim to any of the rear end impacts. But I think with any new car like this, you're going to have that. And there is definitely a lot of controversy and debate and everything in there, and rightfully so. But I am happy that with these new changes and updates and things we're going with the lug nut and the clips and things like that, we're looking to a 2023 with a lot less problems and concerns on our hands. And we feel like, okay, we're going into this with a very solid car that we know fundamentally does work.
Sure.
But we, at the end of the day, you don't want to see drivers out with concussions. You don't want to see injuries. And man, I remember watching the Cody Ware wreck at Texas, and that was a shot, right? And that's, you're thankful people get out and walk away, and that's a beauty of these cars. They do test them, make sure they can walk away, but we want to make sure we can keep on doing that forever.
Absolutely, no doubt about that. That's awesome. And on the personal side of things, how's everything going for you health wise? Everything going good?
Yeah, it's been really good. I appreciate that. And November was Epilepsy Awareness Month. So for anybody who didn't get to check it out, go check out different epilepsy foundations, and definitely go check out some seizure awareness protocols and testing and things like that. So and ways to help people with that. So definitely cool thing. And this year we got to run the Epilepsy Foundation car at Martinsville. So that was really special for me to go see the car on the track.
That's very cool, man. All right, let's transition to a little college football talk here.
Oh boy.
If anybody's been listening to the show for a minute, Matt and I over the years have had some bets and some challenges over the years about Michigan and Ohio State. And it was funny, Matt, last week or 2 weeks ago on my Facebook post was the picture of me in my OSU t-shirt with you at MIS. And it was an interesting season for both teams. I didn't think Michigan, I had them at 11-1. I'm like, there's no way we're going into the shoe and going to beat you guys. Did not think it was going to happen. Long story short, we're both of our teams are in the college football playoffs. Were you, going into the weekend, if USC wins, if TCU doesn't lose, Ohio State maybe doesn't get in. So did you become the biggest, anti-USC fan this weekend,
To be honest, I've been so freaking busy that I didn't get to follow it as much as I wanted to this year. And it's been rough with that part for a lot of sports. But with the Chevy announcement, the change, I've just been going on Saturday. Saturday's been like my only chill out, relax day, But I was obviously checking into the game, and so I think we started this thing 2018? Is that right?
Somewhere around there. Yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah.
Well before COVID.
Okay. Yeah. So I think it's 3-2 now. So you're catching back up. And I think until, now I think it's a Ryan Day problem. So with Stroud in there and Ryan Day, it's not a good combination against Michigan, apparently.
Well, I tell you what, I got so, CJ Stroud, he is just an incredible, like if the Lions were to draft him, I'd be okay with that, and with Corum going out, me and a couple buddies, we went to the Big Ten championship game this past weekend. We went last year, so we had to go back this year, and I was nervous. Purdue gave us some fits. Like it was close there in the first half. I'm like, shit, we may not come away from this damn thing, but we persevered. Matt, I want nothing more than for a rematch on January 9th or 7th, whatever the hell that is. That would be sweet. That would be pretty sweet. I am going to be pulling for you guys against Georgia because I want that rematch. Like, I just think that would be amazing.
I don't see any way they win against Georgia, to be honest.
I was surprised what you guys opened up, I think 6.5 point underdogs or something like that. Like, I tell you what, I think the one big benefit for them is that it's basically going to be a home game. Like, that's an unfortunate. I thought for sure they'd put Georgia and Arizona and put the Michigan game down in Atlanta just to freshen things up and keep it a little bit more neutral. But apparently they had other things in mind for that. But what you guys doing anything fun over the holidays? What are you going to be doing for New Year's Eve? Are you going to be able to watch the games and all that?
Yeah, so we, my girlfriend and I, we went to Europe right after Phoenix. So we went through I think 4 time zones in about 24 hours. And I thought, so the race was obviously Sunday, and I thought that we left on Tuesday. We did not. We were supposed to leave on Monday. So we landed on the red eye back in Phoenix. So Saturday was, I guess, Pacific time, technically. And then we went to Mountain Time on Sunday because of the time change. Yeah. And then we landed in Oklahoma City for a fuel stop. And we landed in Charlotte with the plane. And then we were there for like 8 hours because we realized that we're flying out that night, had to go pack for Europe. And then we landed in London. So I guess there's 5 time zones. There's a lot of time zones.
Wow.
It was very tiring.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But yes, we did cool. European tour. That was awesome. Got back and went back to Phoenix for in Scottsdale there for Thanksgiving, and kind of chilling now and going back to Ohio here for Christmas in a little bit.
Very cool. What part of Ohio again? I was trying to.
So I'm from Hinckley. It's about 25 minutes or 30 minutes south of Cleveland.
Oh, okay, cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Good deal. Good deal. Well, listen, man, thank you for taking some time out tonight. I appreciate it. It was great to catch up with you. Great to hear about the changes and the exciting changes over at the team, and excited for what you guys have in store for 2023. And I appreciate you for being a part of the show 7 times over the last 6 years and being on the 300th episode. It really means a lot to have the support of you guys to come on an amateur podcast and to have given me a chance over the years, and look forward to talking with you soon and seeing you at the track next year for sure, man.
Well, I'm just happy you had me. That way I could ruin your 300th episode. So appreciate it.
Thank you so much, man. Have a great holiday season, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks. Great to catch back up with Matt Tifft. All right, let's continue with the Michigan football talk. And, a couple of weeks ago, I had for what I thought was going to be their last appearance on the show. But as I mentioned at the start, the fact that Michigan is still undefeated, your Big Ten champs, and the fact that Brian went to Purdue, Aaron went to Michigan. I'm as we call it, a Walmart Wolverine fan. I had to bring them back for episode 300 to talk some college football. All right, Lap Traffic Nation. Yes, the victors playing in the background. Go Blue. I had Brian and Aaron on to sign them off, if you will, for the year before Phoenix, right? To do the last weather segment. And I didn't think I'd have them back on the show, but things just lined up too perfectly to where Michigan, back-to-back Big Ten champs, undefeated, and played Purdue in the Big Ten championship game. And Brian and I were able to meet in person for the first time. Who would have thought that would have been at a college football game and not at a NASCAR race? But nonetheless, that was awesome. So I had to bring them both back on so we could talk a little college football. So Brian, Aaron, welcome back to the show for the official sign off here on episode 300. Guys, how are you?
I'm doing well, and yourself?
Excellent. I mean, how can you not be doing good? Go Blue.
Go Blue.
I mean, I may not be doing the exact same thing, but you know what? We were happy to be there.
Yes.
We were just happy to be there.
You guys put up a great game. It was hard. I don't think I was ever nervous, but I'm like, okay, this isn't going to be as runaway as it was against Ohio State.
It wasn't going to be Iowa, all right?
No, that's true. I mean,
yeah,
that Iowa game last year was something else. That's for sure. All right, let's start with this. Aaron, you and I, we did our Michigan preview back in, what did we do that? End of August, where we ran down the schedule, and you and I, we were line item by line item. We were on the same page with everything, thinking that Michigan was going to be 11-1 and probably not be going to the Big Ten championship game because we assumed we were not going to beat Ohio State. And man, look where we're at.
as opposed to a weather forecast, this is a time I'm happy to be wrong.
Absolutely. So, all right. We beat Ohio State handily, right? Like, I mean, I was not expecting to go into the shoe if we were going to beat them. I was expecting like a last possession field goal, having to hold on. Like, I mean, that is not how I thought we were going to beat them. And I mean, that got the nation talking about Michigan football, which was pretty cool.
Which is a very cool thing. And I want to slightly change the subject. I am surprised Ohio State is only 6.5-point underdogs versus Georgia.
Well, all right, we'll get to that. Yes, because there's some stuff there. And then, Brian, Purdue, man, like you and I talked, I'll say every other week, but you'll say every 3 weeks for when I would have you on the show. And it was like, well, we should have beat them. When we were going over your team's schedule, we never once thought, oh, we'll see each other in the Big Ten championship.
I mean, I would have never made that prediction. I'm a Purdue fan. Come on.
Right.
That's, I mean, we talked about strange things. I mean, number one, Wisconsin owned us. Now, I mean, after a team like Iowa, who has a paltry offense, puts 21 and you only muster 3, you're not thinking Big Ten championship, no. But we became really big Nebraska fans.
I bet.
We were big Nebraska fans on that Friday before. And then, of course, all we had to do was go play Indiana and win. And at the time, that didn't seem impossible until Nebraska won. And then as Purdue fans were like, yep, we're going to screw this one up. And it looked like in the first half we were going to do that too. So, I mean, it's been I mean, now I will say this, though. That weekend on Thanksgiving is probably the best weekend in Purdue sports history, period. Because Nebraska beat Iowa to set us up for the Indiana game, and the Purdue men's basketball team handily, it's not like they play cupcake teams. They beat Gonzaga and Duke in double digits in basketball. So, yeah, you can see where my attention is already turning.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and I don't have reason to pay attention to our team right now.
God, no, they're bad. They are so bad. Oh, but hey, at least we're still playing football. All right. So now
you almost beat them.
Let's look at this. All right. You know, all the talk was some of the craziest outcomes actually ended up happening, right? You know, TCU losing on Saturday. You had, you know, Georgia doing what they were supposed to do. Who lost Friday night? What was that game? I'm drawing a blank.
Oh, USC.
USC, right? Like, you know, all of what Ohio State needed to have happened, right? You know, and then you have Saban with Alabama, campaigning to be the first ever 2-loss team in the college football playoffs. But Ohio State, a weekend off, and they're back in it with Georgia, playing in Atlanta. That's what's going to be the interesting piece there. That is going to be a non-neutral site for sure. What do you guys think? You know, do we have a realistic shot to see 2 Big Ten teams, Michigan, Ohio State, playing for the national championship here?
Yeah. No. Sorry. I don't think so.
No. You think? Well,
unless something's. I don't think Georgia's going to lose to Ohio State in Atlanta unless something happens to Stetson Bennett or one of their running back. I just don't see how that happens.
I kind of want it to happen. You know why? Because
I kind of want. Okay, I want it to happen.
The Big Ten, okay, no, I'm going to take it. Let me take it from it. Let me chime in from like the outside of the Big Ten, looking at the rest of you from the bottom up.
Yes.
You know, okay. First of all, I mean, we've seen how the Big Ten does in the playoffs, and basically all of us, I'm going to speak on behalf of the Big Ten. Don't fuck it up, okay?
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
Yes.
Don't, on both sides. Don't fuck it up.
You know, I think when you look at, I think the ratings for the Michigan-Ohio State game were the highest ever or they were the highest rated football game the entire season this year. I think they had cracked some other, you know, popular ratings overall. You know, I think it would be a very well-watched game from a national perspective. But like Aaron said, I don't know that, you know, OSU is going to be able to beat Georgia, you know, on the road basically, because that's what it's going to be. But man, and here's why I would like to see it, because they probably will think that, you know, if it does come to the national championship, they're going to get our revenge. And I think that if we played in a national championship and won, that would wipe out for me the fact that we went 1 in, you know, 95 our last, you know.
No, I think that would. You guys would. You could just say that to win a national championship against Ohio State, that just sounds amazing for your fan base. No, I don't think. But I mean, my concern as a Big Ten guy is both coming out, and again, the Big Ten's not represented in the championship game at all. So, you know.
Yes, I don't want to flop. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And,
Michigan opens up as a 9.5-point favorite with TCU, so, Vegas likes Michigan's odds. That's for sure.
Yeah. Now it's just, where's the money going to go from there? But yeah, opening up at 9.5, it definitely they run their models and say, I was a little surprised to see it. I would have actually expected it to be the other way around, where Michigan was like maybe a touchdown favorite, and Georgia was a 9-point favorite.
Yes, no, I agree. I think the second half of the Purdue game, where number 7 just he picked it up. I mean, he has filled the shoes of Corum. Corum may be a little bit more explosive from a start to finish of the game, but once he gets in his role, he had over 160 rushing yards. I mean, what more could one ask for? So,
yeah. But he only had 38 in the first half. But then again, Purdue doesn't know how to tackle.
Well,
and that's been the problem all year.
A lot of teams
wrap up. I mean, on that drive, that first opening drive, which definitely that first 5 minutes of the third quarter where you guys went up with 2 touchdowns, that pretty much that won the game. But watching the Purdue team and knowing our Purdue team, when they were running, the first big run, the one guy had him, but he's elusive. But then that straight up the middle when he got the touchdown, 4 Purdue players had their hands on him, but they don't know how to tackle, and that's been Purdue's problem all season long. He's good and he's doing great, but I even said before the game, and no offense to your backup, because the word was, your starter wasn't going to be there, and I just told my family, who are all Purdue guys, I'm like, if they can run and they go fast, well, they're going to be a problem for us. Right. I mean, so yeah.
But I will say, I got to give compliments, man, to your quarterback who, lost a family member to come out, play the way he did. And not only play the way he did, but I think the first half, he was like 19 for 22 passing. Yeah. Like, I mean, he was dropping bombs on us. And, it was a hell of a game. I was not expecting it to be that close in the first half, and like I said, I was nervous. So no, it was definitely a great game to be at.
Well, that's been Michigan's problem against tough teams. They are a second half team, and they've been a second half team ever since I was with them in the 80s. Yeah, and it's like, how did somebody say, they're finally going to watch the previous team's game film at halftime?
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
And yeah, but it's just we've had the second, but there's going to be a team. You play Georgia, you're going to have to play 60 minutes.
I was going to say, we're in big.
That's not sliding TCU.
Now. Yeah. Yep.
And I'll be honest, and I think our family was having this wonderful argument. I mean, was Purdue deserving to be in the Big Ten championship game of the Big Ten West? No, I would say Illinois was probably the better team of the West Division. They lost to Indiana right off the bat. We beat them, but they held you guys pretty well. And I can understand after that game why you thought Ohio State. I thought Ohio State was going to beat you guys too. I thought that also.
We thought Ohio State in August was going to beat us.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. All right.
I don't think at any point during the season, except for the halftime of the Ohio State game, I thought we're going to beat Ohio State.
Oh, I didn't even think at halftime.
Now my son just so you know, my son all season thought Michigan would beat Ohio State. So he actually thought you guys were the better team.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
My sports analytics son, just so you know.
That's fine. You know what? But here's the thing. I'm like you. I've gone so long, and I'll say the same thing for Brandon, that we lose to Ohio State no matter what.
Yes. It's just an assumption.
It's just ingrained. It's like it's Pavlov's dog. I hear the kickoff, and I'm like, we're gonna lose.
Yep. But like you said,
yeah, I know how that goes. It's like with us in Wisconsin, and we may lose our coach, so we're on Brom watch at this point.
Oh man, that's
you really think he'd leave? You really think he'd leave to go to Louisville? It's not a better fruit.
Okay, so real quick story. This is why I've made my prediction, and as those who do predictions, but his name, I live down in the Louisville area, so I'm slightly plugged in, hearing all.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
And I'm part of the Purdue, club down there. But bottom line, last season, Satterfield hadn't left, but there was a lot of Brom buzz, and they every time Brom would come down there, he's got a house down there. There was a lot of discussion. His last known statement about the Louisville job was, well, he says, like, this is a moot point. There's no opening, but he goes, the first time I turned it down, it was too soon. But that's I want to come home. He's a Louisville guy.
Oh, okay.
School.
Okay, that makes sense then.
He's always said that he would like that job. Well, he's not going to be any hotter.
Right.
Stock's not going to be any higher. Now, my personal opinion, the Big Ten and Purdue, Big Ten's a better conference than the ACC. The Big Ten or the Purdue is a better program right now than Louisville, but it is the home aspect. And if he turns this down again, he turned it down in 2018. If he turns this down again, he's not going to get another shot.
But here's the other side of that coin too. Yeah, the ACC's not a better conference. Or say we'll flip around. Big Ten's better conference than the ACC. It's an easier path to 10 wins.
Oh, he could get a championship. I don't know right now because
I'm not sure he could get a championship, but yeah, he might be coming to see it. Well, with the 12 team playoff, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm talking about an ACC championship. He has a better chance of making an ACC than a Big Ten championship. But I don't know. I mean, right now, Brahma is one of the top 10 paid coaches in the country, and I don't know if Louisville can pay him that. But
they'll let him take some of the money out of the Yum Center.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. All right.
So that's why we're watching.
Let's do some predictions, and we'll wrap it up. All right, Brian. Who's our national champion?
I'd have to say, I hate to say this, but I don't know how you go against Georgia right now.
That's fair. That's fair.
I mean, my heart would love to see. Not only would I love to see a Big Ten win and be Michigan. Yes, I said that for the record. I would love to, like you guys, to see a Michigan Ohio State championship game. But as of right now, if I took the fandom aspect of Big Ten, I'm going to cheer for the Big Ten, but I think at this point, until Georgia shows me otherwise, it's Georgia.
All right. Aaron?
Homer pick, Michigan.
Absolutely. Go Blue. I love it. All right, gentlemen, officially, thank you so much for everything over the last couple of years. Brian, it was great to meet you in person, finally get a picture,
Absolutely.
Shake your hand, and great to meet your wife and son. And guys, I hope you have an incredible holiday season. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, all that good stuff. And we'll catch you here in 2023.
Congratulations on
4 weeks. I'm sorry.
Right, yeah.
Feels like that.
Congratulations on 300. I'm glad to have been part of.
Yes, absolutely. I'm glad.
Good percentage of it. Yep.
Yes. Very cool, guys. Thank you so much. We will. We'll talk to you guys soon.
You will.
See ya.
Happy holidays. Take care. Bye.
All right. Great to catch up with Brian and Aaron one last time this year. And all right. I mean, here we are, 2:15 into the show. Man, a few more. I probably, that should have been the goal, right? 3 hours, episode 300. But, I don't want to drive you guys nuts too badly here. So let me, I'll set the preface here with the last caller of the evening. It's the last listener call. You guys know I dedicated quite a few shows to you guys, which was so much fun to get to talk to a lot of you. Haven't seen a lot of you in quite some time. And that was a lot of fun and a great way to help count down to episode 300. And Andrew Khantzian is a dear friend. Him, like Kathleen, we've hung out at the tracks. We text on a regular basis, all that good stuff. And like I said, we're changing things up with the show. There was a segment back in the day called the Wave Around Hotline, because why not play off lap traffic in any way that I can for the Wave Around? And Khantzian used to close that thing out each and every week. So in honor of that, I am going to crank up the old soundbite. There, it's starting there. And we're going to close out episode 300 with Mr. Andrew Khantzian. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, joining me on the line to close out the 6-7 week, if you will, listener call-ins to count down and to celebrate episode 300. He's one of the OGs and was the self-proclaimed voice of the Wave Around Hotline. Welcome back to the Lap Traffic Podcast, Mr. Andrew Khantzian. Sir, what's up, brother?
What's up? I appreciate you having me on. I didn't know I was closing the whole thing out. We should have played some Enter Sandman. I'm like Mariano coming out of the pen right now.
Man, I get so lyrious about like doing music and like movie quotes because, I mean, odds are like the odds of anyone finding out are slim, but obviously I know there's like copyright laws and stuff like that are so obscure in terms of, you can use 30 seconds worth of audio. I've seen so many like things, if somebody ever sent it, all they'd have to do is send the cease and desist, and I'd obviously remove it. But, Enter Sandman would be amazing. I love that. That is one of the best intros ever. Who is it? Is it the Hokies that use it?
Oh, I don't know who uses it, in that sport, but I know, Mariano Rivera, the greatest closer of all time, only unanimous Hall of Famer in baseball, used to use it every time he would come in. So
yes, I love it. What's up, man? What's new?
Same old. Work, enjoy, try to go to the racetrack when we can, and I don't know what the hell we're supposed to be doing from now until February, but I don't know. I guess that's why we have these off-season podcasts.
Right? Absolutely. Yes. No, that's what makes it fun is to not have to worry about did I see what happened on lap 52 of 167 and just have some fun. It was one hell of a season. Good, bad, and the ugly. All said and done. If you weren't entertained in some capacity, whether from the actual racing, the silly season, driver changes, team changes, to the fights, you had to try not to be entertained at some point this year.
There was definitely something for everyone this year. Like you said, we had not the good, bad, the ugly. We had the excellent, the great, the good, the bad, the meh, and the what in the hell is this, all in one year. And you know me, obviously I'm pretty young, but I kind of have some old school beliefs in what I like to see out of my racing.
Yes.
So for me, seeing some of the gimmicks, for lack of a better term, that we do now is kind of frustrating for me sometimes.
Absolutely.
But even then, there was a lot to like this year, and there's obviously a lot of improvements. To me, the playoffs were kind of frustrating to watch in a sense, because I feel like we went from this could be and maybe will be the best season of our lifetimes and our fandoms. And I almost kind of felt like the not bottom fell out, but it got a little frustrating sometimes. But a lot of what happened in the playoffs. So regular season, A1. Playoffs, very hit or miss.
Do you think you have that taste in your mouth about the playoffs because of the lack of playoff drivers that won early on in the playoffs?
I think that definitely has something to do with it. I like Eric Jones. I like Chris Buescher, and I think seeing those guys go out and win, and Bubba was kind of like a halfway playoff driver in one format and not playoff driver in the other format. Yep. So seeing those guys go out and win round one is definitely cool from a fan's perspective. But look, you and I are sports fans in other sports outside of NASCAR. When we watch the playoffs, we want to see the best of the best step up their game.
Yes.
And I don't know if it was because of the new car and the extremely small box crew chiefs, engineers, and teams are now playing in, that we didn't really see teams kind of step up into that. They didn't really find sixth gear, I guess we're calling out, because the cars have 5 gears, like Jimmy and Chad used to do, or like what Tony did in 2011. We didn't really see that this year. And I think that possibly maybe affected my enjoyment of the playoffs, because we just didn't see that this year in years past.
Well, I agree 100%. And I almost wonder if some of that had to do with the injury side of things and them not wanting to go and find sixth gear, because we don't know what's going to happen, to our driver, maybe, so maybe they didn't want to take, granted, I don't think they'd ever admit it, but maybe they didn't want to go take that high of a risk, from that regard. I think that plays a small role. I think drivers assuming, I can get to at least the round of 12 or the round of 8, just because I'm so-and-so. I like the fact that there were a lot of shakeups from that regard. And I think it just stresses the importance of having to have an incredible 10-week playoff run, not just a 7-week or a 6-week run. you got to perform from top to bottom, especially if we will continue to have non-playoff guys winning and the inability to lock in that spot to the next round.
Yeah, definitely for sure. And kind of taking a step back to maybe guys not going, 120% like you expect them. Look at the Talladega playoff race.
Yep.
I mean, there was no big crash. And for me, that was, and there might be bias, obviously, because my driver won, but that was one of the more enjoyable Talladega races that I can remember because you still had 25, 30 cars running at the end of it.
Yes.
There wasn't, like we saw at Daytona for the regular season finale, that was a total mess. So
yes. Yep. Which, when that format first got announced that Daytona was going to end the regular season, I was not a fan of that move from basically the carnage that we got. But I tell you, when that first happened, Striegle was on the show, and I told him that, and he said, I know where you're coming from, but think about any other sport to where if you could have that, would you not be entertained? If your sponsors knew that you could race your way in basically becoming an 11th playoff race to where, anything can happen, that creates the ratings, that creates the draw, that creates the seats being sold, and so from an overall sports perspective, I can buy into it, even though I'm not a fan of that style of racing, but it's grown on me, that specific race.
Yeah, I think we've been going to Daytona, 3 years, I think for
so.
Yeah. Okay, so I've been to all three of those races, and it is you could feel the energy in the air when you are at the track for that.
Sure.
And obviously, I'm not a huge fan of Daytona and Talladega, and I guess now Atlanta.
Yep.
But I was able to, appreciate the entertainment value of that because, you go back to 2004 to 19 when we had the hodgepodge of racetracks at race 26. You still had three chances if you are a guy like who won this year, Austin Dillon, who hadn't won and needs a win. You still have three speedway races before that, and now 2020 and on with Daytona, you still have those three speedway races. So it's not like they added something to make it more gimmicky. They just kind of reshuffled the deck a little bit.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, you still have 25 other races to win during the year. So, if you come up short at Daytona like Martin Truex did this year, there's really no excuse. You had 25 other races to try to do something with it.
Yep. And that's part of the thing. I know there's a lot of criticism about the playoff format and I know I take some heat for this every once in a while. I'm okay with the format. I don't have a problem with it. There are some comparisons to stick and ball that you can make. There are some that you can't. I like an elimination format. I like the fact that somebody can't win their way a championship with 3 races to go. I like that it comes down to one event with 4 drivers. The Super Bowl comes down to one event, and it's not always the 2 best teams with the highest winning percentage that are in the Super Bowl. But it's like we talked about earlier, it's the 2 teams that did enough in the regular season to get to a playoff point and then upped their game. And like you said, we didn't see that up the game so much, but I like the format. I can't complain about it, to be honest with you.
I think this format we have now is better than what we previously did without the playoff points.
Yes.
I think the playoff points makes it more palpable because you still can and fall back on the success you had in the regular season. I mean, look at Chase Elliott. He was nowhere to be found from race 1 through 10 in the playoffs.
Right.
Yep. But he was able to use that regular season championship and the 45 points he had to fall back on in the playoffs. And I personally like that. I think it's a good balance between total entertainment and a total mess and zero legitimacy like we saw before we had the playoff points to now it's a little bit more legitimate.
Yep.
I still hate the 1 race playoff. I would like to see that changed. I don't see that changing because I don't see how you go back from a season-long format to the best of 10 to the best of 12/13 the one year to now that elimination that we have now where it's 4 guys in the last race. I don't see how you go back from that. And I'd like to see them just, whether you like the format or you don't, I'd like to see them just keep it for a little bit, like just for the sake of consistency. I mean, there's so much. Sometimes change is too much, and you just kind of have to reevaluate what you have and just let it play out for a few years.
I am going to blow your mind here with an idea. Are you ready for this?
I am ready.
Okay. What if instead of 16 drivers, we knock it down to 12, same 10 races, but it's the final 3 races for the championship with 4 drivers and a best average finish?
I wouldn't even go. I'm very okay. I like that a lot. I would change the best average finish to most points.
Fair enough. Yeah. Any one of the following there, I think, would work.
Yeah, I think so too. I like that a lot. I think 16 is way too many.
You do Talladega. You do either an intermediate or intermix in a road course with it, and you close it out with Martinsville.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. I mean, hell, you put a speedway race, you have your entertainment.
Yep.
You put in a track like, let's say, Homestead.
Yep.
And then you put in Martinsville because look, if you move the season up a week,
you're good.
You could end Martinsville the end of October and the weather is fine.
Yep.
So obviously we know weather plays in quite a bit. We're an outdoor sport, so the weather's going to matter. So that limits our opportunities for this, but if we change the schedule a little bit in terms of when we run, I don't see that being a problem.
We just
if they put me in charge for a day, I think I would maybe do that and a lot of other things that many people wouldn't like.
I'm with you. What's the plans for the holidays, sir?
Work. I think I'm off Christmas Day, but and maybe New Year's Day, but the eves I have to work. Thanksgiving, Black Friday, I'm getting ready to work all day, both days. So that W word comes around quite a bit.
Yeah. Will you two detail for Black Friday at like a store, or will you be patrolling as normal?
We have them, but I'll be you'll find me creeping through the neighborhoods probably, if anything. I'm not a detail fan personally. I'd rather I like get my hands dirty.
Fair enough. All right, man. What's a headline we're going to be talking about early 2023?
I think you're going to see a reemergence of Kyle Busch as a championship contender.
Ooh, with a new team. I'm excited to see what he does. I mean, it's definitely going to be interesting. We've got a lot of silly season that kind of changed things up. I'm excited to see what Dinger does full time. We got Kyle Busch. We've got Tyler Reddick making a change, who's coming off 2022 was RCR's most, I think, successful year since Kevin Harvick left, right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So not even close.
Can he carry that momentum over to a new team? We're going to have changes at SHR. And by the way, let's just throw in the mix. Jimmy Johnson is now going to, be a part-time driver, a coach, an owner. Who knows what kind of shot in the arm that's going to give Petty and GMS. So, I mean, there is, you take all of those, you throw in improvements to the car. I mean, 2023 is setting up to be amazing. So
I think so too. Yeah. I mean, look at what Tyler Reddick did with Randall Burdett. I mean, they were the fastest cars on the road courses this year. They could have won many other races, and you put a future Hall of Famer and Kyle Busch in that car. And I think they're going to win, and they're going to win quite a bit this year.
I am very excited to see what they're able to do for sure. Listen, man, thank you so much for hopping on the show. Thank you for the support over the years. Thank you for the friendship. I very much appreciate it. And I hope you have an incredible holiday season, even though the W word's going to be impeding that a little bit. I hope you are still able to enjoy it. And hopefully, I know we've been saying it, but hopefully we will see each other at the track next year.
Yes, hopefully a whole bunch of us can figure something out. That'd be fun. I know we got a couple dates circled. We've all kind of been thrown around. But I mean, man, congratulations on 300. That is awesome from a grassroots podcast that you've had truck, Xfinity, probably future Cup champions on it. It's been really fun. I mean, I think I started like you literally at the very beginning.
You're definitely one of the OGs.
It's been fun kind of watching the growth of the show, and I'm happy for you. And I know you got some good changes coming with, with having a little family now. So congratulations to that. And
thank you.
Hey, best of luck. I'm ready for 2023 and see what Lap Traffic's got for you.
Absolutely, man. And hopefully, here's just some better luck for you in Lap Traffic Fantasy next
year. Yeah. We had to pull it behind the wall a little bit early in the summer. I was so far behind. I'm like, you know what? I think we're going to have to just try again next year.
I love it. All right, man. Thank you again. Appreciate you, and we'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Take care, bud.
All right, man. We'll see you. All right, Lap Traffic Nation. I hope you were entertained tonight. I had such an amazing time over the last week or so putting all of these together. Recording, even like I said, MIS track President Joe Fowler today and piecing this together. It's an honor to be here. It's an honor that you guys listen enough, that you follow enough, that you tweet enough to keep me relevant, because there's a lot of podcasts out there. And not to say I'm an OG, because I'm not an OG, but I've been around a minute, and I appreciate that you guys help keep me relevant with all of the new content that is constantly out there, which is part of the reason why I'm going to, give a little refresh, if you will, to things, to stay relevant and to keep current and all of that good stuff. Like I said, I am truly honored and humbled that you guys follow, listen, and keep me entertained as much as I hopefully keep you guys entertained. And I think this is a record in terms of show length. I know I've done a couple 2 hours in the past, but hey, it was worth it. It was episode 300, Lap Traffic Nation, and that is going to do it for episode 300 of the Lap Traffic Podcast. Check out the website, check out all the social media, Lap Traffic PC. Thank you to all of the guests who were on, not just tonight, but this year. Of course, thank you to everyone that was on the show tonight. Thank you all for following, listening, spreading the word on the Lap Traffic Podcast. I hope you enjoyed this tonight. I hope you all have an incredible Christmas, New Year's Eve, holiday season. Cannot wait to be back for Season 7 next year one last time. Don't get caught chasing the lucky dog. Tune in each and every week to the Lap Traffic Podcast. See ya!